Okay, cool. It says it's being live streamed.
Is Kimari here? Sorry, not that I'm crossing it. Is Kimari now? He's on the wrong link then. Okay, sorry.
Okay. It's currently live. So we can go ahead and begin. You can begin. Okay, I have started. Okay. All right, guys, we're starting the webinar. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and there we go.
Like we need it the most. We have to give thanks like we really supposed to be thankful. Blessings all for my life and my thank God for the journey, the earnings are just for the plus. Yeah, and gratitude is a must. Yeah, me see blessings fall by my right hand. But I toast for the friends we take off every load. One time did sit down in a class and we fourth then only get the road and me go on with the road. Third form me say make me try a thing, and you know it formed up to be a fire thing. Now up on stage with chronic say I sing, yeah, see me all diggy soon get the higher ring like hello brother. You say I had to short ya, saw your poster, spectacular photo. Keep it burning, yes, that's the motto. If me the butter pass through your short to can't ball in a life, man. Me have to thank God for the journey, the earnings are just for the plus. Yeah, and gratitude is a must. Yeah, me see blessings fall by my right hand. But I toast to the friends we take off every load. One time they sit down in a class and we board then only set the road and we go on with it, go on with it. That's how our blessings upon me. And send me to tell you my story. That's how our blessings upon me. And that's how I made to give him the glory. I'm delighted. Jah knows my passion ignited. Got the music get me excited. I'm coming like a potion. Blessings all for my life and my thank God for the journey, the earnings are just for the plus. Yeah, and gratitude is a must. Yeah, me see blessings fall by my right hand.
New government,
give thanks.
sing it.
You know, every day,
Realest thing here in our world, brother.
we give thanks.
For real.
You spend all that money on your watch. How much time you spend with your son? So much money in the club. How much you spend with the ones you love? The simple things are your blessings. Simple things, them are your blessings, your blessing. Simple things are your blessing. And you don't notice your blessings. You pick it with the shoes by your feet. Now pick and choose the friends where you keep. You now watch where you eat. Where
Good evening, Cave Hill Blackbirds. Welcome to the Guild AGM. I am Adelia Nemhar, the Guild Secretary, and this evening my co-host is the Guild PRO. Nikhil, you can go ahead and introduce yourself to the Cave Hill community.
Thank you so much, Adelia, and good evening, everyone. As she would have said, my name is Nikhil Willoughby, and I am the Public Relations Officer of the Guild of Students, and tonight we'll be taking you through this annual general meeting.
So up first, we will be having a prayer by our Science and Technology representative, Miss Chelsea Jordan. So we just ask that you bow your heads, close your eyes wherever you are, and get in the mood for prayer. Chelsea, you can go ahead.
Thank you, Adelia. Good night, everyone. Dear Father in heaven, thank you for this day. Thank you for bringing us all here safely. May we have a successful and productive meeting tonight, and may we all go away feeling more strengthened, being a Blackbird, and may we just have a really good and peaceful evening. This is my prayer in your name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Chelsea. At this time, we are going to have the playing of the national anthem of Barbados.
Lovely. And now, every time Nick and counselors that I hear the Bajan national anthem, I just beam with pride because it reminds me, and I'm sure it reminds all of us here, that we serve at the best UE campus, hands down. It doesn't matter what any other UE student says. I have to say that, listen, Kville is the best, hands down, period, cool. And we just have to encourage students that, listen, no matter what happens, no matter what we go through as students, no matter how we may feel, that, listen, we have the privilege of attending the most prestigious UWI campus, and that's Kville right here in Barbados. So with that, I will now invite Miss Martina Magalhães, who is our International Affairs Committee Chairperson, to give the welcome and opening remarks. Take it away, Martina.
Thank you, Adelia. So good night, everyone. Tonight, the Kville Guild of Students are very pleased to host our annual general meeting for the second semester of the academic year 2021-2022. I'd like to extend a special welcome and hearty thank you to each and every one of you for being here with us today. We recognize that these times are very difficult, and I applaud, recognize, and appreciate everyone for just being here today and making it through another day. Martin Luther King Jr. reminds us, if you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. And if you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, you keep moving forward. So Blackbirds, I implore you to keep moving forward no matter what the circumstances are thrown your way, and show yourself grace always. So without further ado, I'd like to hand the mic over back to Adelia or Nick, and enjoy tonight's meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Martina, for those opening remarks. We are indeed glad that we are here as a student body to meet, and here we go. At this point in time, I'm going to invite their president, Mr. Kyle Holder-Leach, to give his presidential report.
Thank you very much, Nick. Good night, Blackbirds. Thank you and welcome to the annual general meeting for the Kville Guild Council Semester 2. I'm sure we're all looking forward to this evening's proceedings. Without any further ado, I'll go right into the president's report. Okay, firstly, we'll be discussing a bit of community and campus outreach. Over the course of this semester, the Guild of Students have executed, and we continue to execute and plan some community and outreach initiatives. One of the more recent ones would have been our Valentine's Outreach Initiative, where we wanted to spread a little love, peace, and care for the Valentine's season. And we would have gone into the communities around campus and extended some heartfelt packages to the students who lived around campus, as well as the different members of the community. And we also gave some to the Frank Rowe Hall as well, in different halls on campus. So it was really an idea for us to remind persons that we are a family, we're a community, and we do really love one another as the Kville Blackbird family do. Along with that, we would have also had the fauna at the St. Stephen's Nursery School. This was one that I most definitely enjoyed. We were getting our hands dirty and digging the mud and planting the grass and getting the flowers, and really beautified the area for the little boys and girls the day before they were set to return to school. I learned a lot about planting, a lot of things I did not know, and I'm sure the other members of council that were present learned a lot as well. And it really was a chance for us to give back to the community around and show the thanks and gratitude we feel for the support that they extend to us. Along with that, we have the upcoming Commuters Initiative. This is similar to the Valentine's package, but of course not with that spirit of love that would have been surrounding it, but it's more so a spirit of prosperity and longevity, and reminding persons that, of course, we know the journey throughout university life is rough, but these small tokens of gratitude and care really help us to see the end of the tunnel sometimes. And that is what that initiative will be focusing on. I especially wanted to thank Ms. Hall, our events officer. She has done a fantastic job with really helping us organize these events and really getting the council out there and working hard. So I really want to thank Ms. Hall for that. Along with that, another project we will be launching from my office will be the internship project. And this will be an opportunity for students to not only get the opportunity to get experience within their fields, but also the opportunity to get some form of income, a form of stipend, so to speak. And that is what this internship program will be about. Mr. Willoughby will be launching the poster for it. in the coming weeks, but this is an opportunity for students who have interest in different businesses and organizations around the country and getting the chance to really see what it is about and really see if this is where they want to take their life. So the first one is actually a very cool one. They'll be working with a car signage designing business on the island. And it's really a chance for people who, find cars interesting and find the different fast cars interesting to get a chance to see what it's like to work on those engines, and also the chance to see what it's like to design those cars from scratch, 3D models. I actually visited the site. It was really cool to see how they work and the way that they produce the things that they produce. So this is an opportunity for 2 students to get the chance to work on that project and of course receive a monthly stipend along with it. And that will be launched in this coming week. I think for community and outreach thus far, that, yes. Next slide, Mr. Willoughby. Yes, now we go into the pantry and welfare. We continue to do as much welfare and as much pantry as we can throughout our tenure, and we must thank Miss Haynes Lane. She really has stepped up in terms of working together with us and getting the word out there in the pantry and the welfare that the Guild provides. And I really want to thank her for that, because today the Guild has distributed 126 pantry packages, and CHAPS has distributed 136. And it really is a testimony to how we really try to ensure that our students are taken care of, not only academically, of course, as the Guild is known to do, but of course ensuring that they have food in their cupboards and they can take care of themselves and survive, because of course the physical health is as important as the academic and mental well-being. So I really want to thank Ms. Haynes Lane. And of course, I also want to thank our union committee chairperson. I know he too has been doing a lot of welfare pantry, the different halls on campus, and he has provided them a lot of different resources to allow the hall chairs to assist their residents throughout the tenure as well. So I want to thank him as well. Along with the pantry and welfare initiatives, I wanted to speak briefly as well as this Guild Scholarship Program. I have noted there was a great deal of inquiries about whether this program will be reopening for the semester. And I've been speaking to the treasurer as well as the different powers, and we are aiming to at least produce 10 more scholarships for the semester. And I can say those will be opening. I'm trying to see if we can have those done within the next 2 weeks. But in addition to the 30 we would have awarded for the first semester, we will be awarding 10 more as well. Then we move into donations and partnerships. Yes, we wanted to acknowledge some of the businesses that really have assisted us on this journey and have provided us with a lot of sponsorship that's helped us to help the student body. Our first one will be Rubisco, the Massey Stores, RMJ Agencies, Hanschel Innes, the Barbados Bottling Company, First Citizens, and of course, Pro Sales. I remember Pro Sales, they assisted us during the Freshers Week. I remember them, but we really wanted to tell those businesses thank you for everything that they have done thus far. Then we move into the Inter-Campus Guild Council report. Of course, we know the ICGC meet is the opportunity for us to engage in some regional integration and to engage in some discussion where we can all assist each other as the one UWI family. And in this particular instance, one of the things that we discussed would have been the backward navigation examinations. As we all know, this is a policy that varies across departments, faculties, and courses, where some instances you're allowed to go back during online examinations and quizzes, and in other instances you aren't. This is something that we really saw as a problem, and we wanted to push to allow all courses across every faculty, across all campuses, to give students the opportunity to be able to navigate backwards throughout an examination, quiz, or whatever assessment it may be. I can say it has been approved at one of the campuses. We have yet to bring it to the Cave Hill campus. That will be at the next upcoming academic board meeting, which I believe will be in about 2 weeks' time. But this will give us and the students the opportunity to get the most out of their exam experience. Along with that, we have some upcoming announcements as it pertains to the reopening of the students' gym. It has been confirmed. So the student gym is going to be reopened. The unfortunate circumstance is because the student gym was closed for such a long period, I don't want to say it's in a state of disrepair, but the renovations and the infrastructural changes that need to occur have put us behind the preferred timeline that we would have liked, which is why it is yet to reopen publicly and officially, but it is confirmed to be reopened. Then, of course, we have the return to a face-to-face teaching format, as university would have announced sometime last week. I was able to speak to senior administration. I was able to confirm that this return would be entirely casual and gradual, and the expectation was that there wouldn't be any major changes across the courses and departments as it spoke to the face-to-face return, because for the most part, majority of the members of the student body are not on campus, and the expectation is that that would continue. So they were assured that there would be no cut and dry wholesale return to face-to-face, because we ensure that they understood we need to appreciate the concerns of the student body, as the COVID-19 pandemic is still very real and still very alive and is still very much with us. Face-to-face graduation, that is something we would have raised with administration as well. And I can let you know it is being considered. A possible phased approach is on the table. However, we would have said that the students have spent a very long time going through an online learning environment. The least we can do, especially when you reopen the school, is also allow them to have the opportunity to graduate, because it's a very important day to a lot of us. After a very long, hard journey, it's the chance for us to get that physical manifestation of the hard work and the late nights that we would have gone through to get this far. And if you can reopen the campus, then by all means, you can provide us with a face-to-face graduation. So that is something that is being considered, it's not being forgotten. And that is something we are pushing for as well. Further to that, I can happily report that the Guild concessionaires, I remember there were a lot of questions that pertain to campus streets, as well as we call him the Sandwich Man, but that is not his official name. I believe his official name is Legacy Kitchen. Yes, Legacy Kitchen. We can confirm that those two businesses will be reopening on campus, and once again, bring those fantastic treats back to the students on campus. So we're hoping that that will be ready by next Monday. They don't need time to get all this stock in place and return to campus. So we're hoping that that will be ready by next Monday. As it pertains to the remainder of the report from my end, that is all for now. So I'll hand over back to the moderators. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. We can see that you're working very hard for the Blackbirds, and for that, we are grateful. And with that being said, and the president giving his report, as I said, Blackbirds, I'm going to remind you all night, all evening, that we are indeed at the best Cave Hill, the best UWI campus here at Cave Hill. And a part of that is rewarding our students. So it wouldn't be a Cave Hill AGM without a giveaway. And so at this time, I will invite our Guild Events Officer, Miss Suthani Hall, to start with the first prize giving portion. So take it away, Miss Events Officer.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Adelia. Good evening, Blackbirds. So go quickly to Instagram, follow Guild Events page, and let's get this prize giving portion on. So what you're going to do is you're going to DM me, my page, the Guild Events Officer's page, with the answer to the question. We have 2 segments, 2 portions, 5 questions in this segment, and then 5 questions afterwards. So let's go. The Secretariat has an initiative that she posts on Instagram Live. Fill in the blank. It is entitled T blank. T blank. The answers are coming in. T blank. I'll repeat the question. The Secretariat has an initiative that she hosts on Instagram Live. Fill in the blank. It's entitled T blank. Here, question 2. Election day is what day? Election day is what day? I don't want to go too fast because the answers are still coming in. But election day is what day? Number 3. According to the Guild calendar, whose week are we currently in? Somebody say, let me win. According to the Guild calendar, whose week are we currently in? I can see that some persons are putting answers in the chat. You have to message, you have to DM the Guild event officer page on Instagram. Okay, question 4. What is the name of our newly appointed returning officer? What is the name of our newly appointed returning officer? And the last question for this segment, name 2 Guild counselors who recently celebrated their birthdays in the month of February. 2 Guild counselors who recently celebrated their birthdays in the month of February. And guys, spelling is, a must. So go quickly to the Guild page, look for the birthdays, message us at the event page, not the Guild page. Name 2 Guild counselors who recently celebrated their birthdays in the month of February. Okay, and with that being said, that was the last question for this segment.
Thank you very much, Susani. I'm not gonna be biased, but I think the first question was the best question, and we love that. And I must say, Blackbirds, that in all honesty, our Guild events officer has been working extremely hard. She's always looking out for the Blackbirds, always sending motivational quotes, jokes, just to lift the Blackbird spirit. And so I thought, it was very fitting that she was here this evening to reward our Blackbirds for those correct answers. So kudos to you, Susani. We have to recognize hard workers when we see them, and you have been doing a great job motivating the Blackbirds. And now with that, that was the appetizer. So now we're going to get into the entree, and we are going to invite our counselors to give our reports. So Blackbirds, now you're going to hear about what our counselors have been up to, how they have been serving you, because, as a council, we have to hold ourselves accountable. And, sometimes as students, you get so caught up in the academic side of being a student that you miss some of the initiatives. And so we are here to give the reports at our AGM. And with that being said, I will invite our first counselor to give his report, and that will be my co-host, the Public Relations Officer, Mr. Nikhil Willoughby. So Nick, you can go ahead.
Okay, thank you so much, Adelia. I think everyone can see the screen. Yes. Okay, so as Adelia said, I'm the Public Relations Officer, and this is just to give you a brief synopsis of what my committee, my department have been doing over the past year. And straight off the bat, one of my main mandates would have been that of rebranding the Guild and rebranding, what the Guild looks like, bringing a new face. And we would have, implemented some new logos to add a different aura to the Guild. So you can see there the Public Relations Committee logo, IRAP TV, which is the official branding for anything TV related of the Guild, current and concise, sorry. Yours truly, Madam Secretary, and also the Events Committee saw a facelift as well. So myself and my committee would have also procured some recording equipment for the Guild, and we realized that there was a lack of that in the Guild. And when we wanted to record media, we would often have interference from wind and noise and that stuff. So we went out and we bought some recording equipment, and this equipment is accessible not just to the Guild, but for students as well. I know of some island associations who reached out about using them, and they're there for us and the students to use so that our media and our productions are sound. Now, when I began in June, we would have introduced the official brand guide of the Guild. And what this was, it's a brand guide that allows persons who are interested in public relations and design to be able to brand their content within the guidelines provided with the Guild. We're not stifling creativity. However, we know that persons need a little guide so that they know where to place certain things, where to place logos, where to place images. So we would have created a brand guide, and we've been using this ever since. And it's accessible in our link tree in our bio. You can go there, you can find the brand guide, you can have a look and indeed implement it into your design and creative content. You'd have also had the Public Relations Conference that was held in August for the public relations on campus. We had some specially invited guests from our neighboring campuses. And we would have also had, starting this semester, the registration assistance program or sessions that we would have hosted. Myself and my committee, along with some of the faculty reps, would have made ourselves available to help students with their registration issues. And I can indeed say that that has been successful. So, as I would have mentioned, our key this year for the Guild was to make sure that we enhance the branding of the Guild, which, you know, included the posters and media, anything that had the Guild logo. We made sure that it looked great. And these are just some of the productions, the images that would have come out of the Public Relations Department over the course of the tenure. And it is with great pleasure that I inform you guys that Let's Vent will be returning to a Twitter near you very soon. Once the election period is over, we will indeed be back on the road with Let's Vent. This was created so that persons who use the Twitter platform, you know, they're able to you know, share their views and their opinions about things that would have been happening, not just in Barbados and across the world, but also things that happen to us as the Hadia students at the KFO campus. So Let's Vent would have been implemented for those to share their views, and it will be returning after the election period has concluded. And this is just to give you guys an idea of what we do on the PR front of things. I would have implemented I don't want to call it a position, but a special task or committee member to look at the analytics of the social media. And this provides somewhat detailed format of how we would have done on the media front. So we have from September, we can see the accounts that were reached and the impressions that were made over the course of the month. In October, we had the highest, and that's when a lot of the associations and clubs, they had their weeks and everything going on. And we saw a slight dip in December, you know, because school would have broke in mid-December, but nonetheless, the trajectory is continuing to go up. And we saw a 72.5% overall increase in media interactions since May 2021, and a 19.4% total increase in following since May 2021. So these are just some of the statistics coming out of the Public Relations Department. And things that are upcoming, updates to the Guild website. Now, I know that persons would have noticed that there's not been as many updates as you would have liked to the Guild website, and that's due to some issues on the technical side, being able to have these rectified on our website. And I can assure you that within the coming months, they will be rectified, and the information we place there for all students to have access to. The Inter-Guild Crash Course Initiative is one coming out of my department as well. This will feature students not just from the KFO campus, but from all across the University of the West Indies in the Caribbean. And those who are familiar with Crash Course, you can get an idea of what it is. Short, impactful videos that help students in different aspects of their lives. And lastly, the purchase of more equipment for the Guild. We realized that we need to have some more equipment to help us with recording of videos and recording audio and that type of thing. So we're looking to procure some more equipment. And with that, that is the end of my recap presentation tonight. And I hope we continue to work together to ensure that our Guild remains the best Guild in the Caribbean.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Willoughby, for that report. So at this time, the Faculty of Culture, Creative and Performing Arts representative, Mr. Kimal Marshall, requested that, we share with the Cave Hill community what his faculty has been up to, and he saw it fitting to share the FCCPA production. And so at this time, that's what we'll be watching. Thank you.
Not home, this is not the West Indies. A chorus of drum beats and steel pan ready the strokes of my pen. Creole and patois plague the works of Caribbean singers, dancers and anthropologists that I study at 3 in the morning. I am not home, this is not the West Indies. Give me my soul back. The spirits of my ancestors penned, not penned to paper is enough to make me cry. A juba, particular blessings and thankfulness to all those whose names I do not know but whose blood flows through my veins. I am not home, this is not the West Indies. Vibrant art flashes in my mind with their own stories to tell of the cubism of the Caribbean experience. The piece suggests that Black cultural identity is continuous, that it stretches across the violence and displacement of slavery and connects water with the present. I am not home, this is not the West Indies. And although I have 2 left feet, a rave of percussion instruments, sacred drums, a beating of guitar strings, jovial and ritualistic chanting from West African dialects of a once colonized tongue allow me to sway in this harmony, a rhythmless whine, embarrassing my peoples and oppressing my ankles, all because you, sir, of fair complexion and delicate composition, decided to seam all the spice, yet only use salt and pepper. I am not home, this is not the West Indies. My pigmentation should not determine your perception of my social orientation. The color of my skin does not determine human spirit. I am the topography of the people you attempted to erase. Etch the lines of my palm and I shall tell you stories of soil that speaks without lease. I am not home, this is not the West Indies. Untie my big toe, outline my shadows with candlelight, line cowrie shells at my feet, brace beads around my ankles to forget the kiss of steel, take the rice out of my hair, set the table, pour the wine. I am home. This is the West Indies.
Wow, that was indeed impactful, captivating. And I want to thank our Faculty of Culture, Creative and Performing Arts representative, Kemal, and his team for putting that together and presenting it here tonight for us at this meeting. Now, at this time, we will have the Faculty of Social Sciences report done by our FSS representative, Mr. Renako Bailey.
Thank you very much, Nikhil. I'll try to be very brief. So we're going to start with some committee updates. So just going to highlight committee members of the month of January, Miss Lynn Marie Christian, and she was awarded this for her leadership in the course mentorship program and for her dedication to serving our students seen in her instrumental work across the committee. Another committee member of the month, Mr. Christopher Richards, and he was awarded this for his leadership in student opportunities, commitment and dedication to serving our students and student entrepreneurs, and for also pioneering alongside myself, the Vibrant Student Entrepreneurship Program. There have been some community changes, and this is to better serve our students and across faculty and campus, and those being Miss Mandy Griffin serving as acting events coordinator, with Miss Hannah Singh working alongside her, special projects chairperson Christopher Richards and Ezra Seeley, now both serving as special advisors on entrepreneurship, both sitting on the faculty subcommittee on entrepreneurship. This came about because we recognize the importance of entrepreneurship to the committee during this tenure, and these roles would allow these members to lead the charge on entrepreneurship at both the faculty and students committee level, whilst ensuring activities of the students committee are beneficial to our Lion entrepreneurs. The last addition to the committee would have been Mr. Lee Trotman, who serves as government representative as of this semester. A bit on the course mentorship program. This course mentorship program has saw that students becoming mentors and mentees. Additionally, this program provides students with additional assistance needed to pass courses offered across the 3 departments of the faculty. It was officially launched on the 10th of February and is expected to end on April 15th. This program has also seen the collaboration with the Accounting Students Association and the Young Economists Association. Applications at this time are closed, and courses offered are Econ 1004 and Econ 1005, Soci 1005, Soci 2007, Government 1011, Government 2057, Management 1003, and Econ 1003. Volunteer hours are offered to Barbadian and non-Barbadian students. I must add at this time that those courses are some of the courses, but however, because of our collaboration, those courses, we do offer a variety of courses through the Accounting Students Association. The entrepreneurship program has been fully on the way. This program today has seen the expansion in the responsibilities of our project public relations officer and special projects chairperson. There's still a call for student entrepreneurs. Those persons can contact the faculty's social media pages or Mr. Ezra Seeley, Mr. Christopher Richards, or myself. Scheduled visits would return and follow strict university and national COVID-19 protocols. One of our initiatives in this program would have been seen in our week from the ground up and would have started Soci Week. And we do thank Miss Christine Roberts from Chrissy Scare, Miss Diane Poland from Going Social Media Marketing, Mr. Cody King from Cutter Kings and Sammys, and Mr. Tion Seeley from Langs King Photography, I beg your pardon. Based on the feedback of this session, it was well received, and again, we do apologize for the hiccup that was caused as we experienced the presence of hackers. The activities saw our student entrepreneurs being provided with key information on creation and daily running of business. Another initiative attached to this program and part 2 of the business workshop would come off later this month, and that is the Business Expo, which has been postponed until a day in March, where we would be showcasing student and partnered businesses during its running time. Another initiative that the committee would have undertaken this semester would have been the committee mentorship program. This program has seen future student leaders see firsthand experience and direct contact with sitting student leaders of the committee. Applications are closed at this time. Some student opportunities updates. Those students who are participating in those participating in the numerous activities facilitated by our partners, and those students continue to exercise their gratitude. To date, we have about over 30 active persons, and that number is set to increase. Some of our partners include the Ashley Lashley Foundation, Chrissy's Care, Going Social, Social Media Marketing, and Seed on Campus. Some major student issues that would have occurred during the semester would have been the matter of GSSWP courses not being offered by BUS, and that would have been led by our GSSWP rep in collaboration with the GSSWP head of department, Dr. Hines. The resolution for that would have been alternative courses have been provided to students in order for them to come to graduate on time. I do thank everyone for assisting the team in this resolution. Another matter that we would have faced, and this would have been early, and in the early part of the semester, is within the last month, we would have received numerous concerns from students regarding final exams and grades. To date, we can report that many of them have been resolved, whether at the faculty or even by a member of the members of the committee who have been assisting our fellow Lions continuously. Some previous and upcoming events, as you know, Society Week would have been held between the 13th of February and the 19th of February, and it saw a variety of events ranging from our business workshop, Society Sit Down, and confession from professors. Additionally, it saw collaborative efforts in our Empower the Pride video and the Institute for Gender Development Studies Nita Barrow Unit Games Night. Events were well received, and some are on stream for a sequel. As was mentioned, the Business Expo, and again, that's a part 2 of our event, and that would see student and partnered entrepreneurship showcasing their businesses. Elections 2022, the tentative schedule would see nomination period from March 9th until March 18th, campaign period from March 21st to March 31st, debate night, March 31st, and election day, April 1st. Positions for nominations are Vice President, Secretary, Treasurer, departmental reps from Economics, Cape School of Business and Management Studies, and Government, Sociology, Social Work, and Psychology. And with that ends my report.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bailey. I know that the Lions are very proud. I know that you are flying that orange pride flag very high, and they're extremely elated that you are their representative. We see where Society Week was very successful. You're having a business expo for your students, and elections are coming up. And it is just, we hope that as students, leaders, when we see our representatives serving in this capacity, that it motivates students to put themselves up for service as well. So I know that the Orange Nation is very proud. I don't know why I'm not seeing more orange hearts in the chat, but I'll give you guys a bit to digest what your rep has been doing for you. But I know that the Lions are indeed proud. So thank you for your service, Mr. Bailey. And I know that you will continue the trend for the remainder of your tenure. And now we invite Miss Nanyamka Burnett, the representative of the Faculty of Humanities and Education, to give her report. So go ahead, Miss Burnett.
Thank you, Adelia. Good evening, everyone. As you have heard, my name is Nanyamka Burnett, and I am the Faculty of Humanities and Education representative for the academic year 2021 to 2022. So I'm going to keep it really short. Let's jump right in. Next slide, please. Alrighty, so to start, we would have continued some initiatives from the first semester. The first one being the Faculty of Humanities and Education Peer Mentorship Program, which afforded mentors the opportunity to earn give back hours while engaging and assisting their mentees. The second would have been the continuation of the Faculty of Humanities and Education Student Entrepreneurship Feature to highlight some of the entrepreneurs within the faculty and allow them to promote their businesses. Now, our modern languages representative in the first semester would have held a Journey to Fluency panel discussion. And this semester, she would have continued updating the modern languages students and allowing them to get a bit more practical experience in terms of how they're going to go forward after they get their degrees. And she would have done this through the Let's Talk Immersion Programs panel discussion, which featured immersion program participants from Spain, Colombia, France, Guadeloupe, and Martinique. We also had our week of activities, which ran from the 16th of January to the 22nd. And our week of activities would have featured our games night, our annual general meeting, multi-faith service, art beat of UE design competition, and our inter-campus circle, which would have been a collaboration with the Mona and St. Augustine campuses. Finally, upcoming, we have our Dean's List Award ceremony this coming Sunday, and the theme is Excellence Through Adversity, and each awardee will receive a digital certificate for their outstanding performances despite the difficulties presented by the online learning environment. And this initiative will premiere on the FHE Cave Hill Instagram TV. Now, one last thing that would not be a part of my presentation because it was only confirmed this past weekend, we have a collaboration coming up, which we were invited to by the Mona Humanities and Education, Faculty of Humanities and Education Committee. We're gonna have a little prayer session, so you're gonna get more information about that coming up. But lastly, I'll just encourage you guys to follow us on social media and stay tuned for all that we have coming up.
Thank you so much for that report, Ms. Burnett. And Adelia, I'll tell you this, when I saw the slide that spoke about the foreign languages, it brought me back to the point where I would have studied Spanish when I was in 4th form or 5th form. I haven't done it for quite some time, but I remember, being a fond student or what we call a avid student of Spanish and these languages. So I guess one day, if there's the opportunity for me to do a course in humanities, I can add that there. And I guess Namyanka and her team will sort me out to make sure that I can speak fluent Spanish, fluent French, or some other foreign language. But thank you so much, Namyanka, for that report. At this time, I'm going to ask, I don't want to say the medical doctor on the guild, but I'm going to ask our medical sciences representative, Ms. Shanice Musgrave, to give us her faculty's report.
Good evening, Blackbirds, good evening, and representing the Faculty of Excellence. When we speak MedSci, we have to come good. So we just coming with some updates this evening and giving you some ideas of some of the events past, some of the initiatives, and some upcoming events that we have in store for our MedSci students. So firstly, I want to speak about the successful MSA week. The MedSci students had a blast, and of course, I really appreciate the participation from the students of other faculties who came to our events. We had a week packed of activities, and that was in the 2nd week of the semester from January 23rd. We had Sip and Paint, we had a movie night, we had seminars with experienced health professionals and doctors, and even a Zumba session in our health fair, virtual health fair this year. So I just want to say a thank you again, a hearty thank you to all of those students who attended, and especially our special guests from other faculties. And moving on from MSA week, we also want to thank and congratulate the MedSci students who would have participated in the conversational Spanish. And that was a 4-week course, I would say, or initiative that occurred last semester from October 11th into November. And this was an initiative that was passed in the former academic year, the previous academic year, via the Intercampus Guild Council, where we wanted to bridge the gap in healthcare through conversational Spanish for medical sciences students. And the purpose of this, and the understanding is that we serve patients anywhere in this world, and we have to understand that everyone would not speak English. So this was the introduction of expanding the minds and the experience and expertise of health professionals by improving their conversational skills. So not just English, but how about learning different languages. So there would not be a barrier when we have patients of different nationalities and different backgrounds. So that was a success, and really want to thank the students who participated in this program. And from there, we have a few other initiatives. So one of the initiatives that I've launched this semester is the MSA Legacy and Mentorship Drive. And this is for any students who would have been interested in running for positions. So I would have spoken to persons who might even be running for the Guild elections as MSA Med-Sci rep for the upcoming year. I would have, gone through different conversations with them. And then I'm just putting this out there for any other students who are interested in the other MSA positions, just to come to me to just have those conversations, as I'm on the Guild a second time serving as the MSA president as well a second time, and would like to ensure that the legacy that we pass on, that legacy of excellence, is sustained. Further to that, the formation of an allied health professionals interest group. And this is really to target our Bachelor of Health Sciences students and Human Nutrition and Dietetics students. This would allow them to have opportunities of networking, both regionally and internationally, and also to receive the relevant mentorship and career guidance. But to do so, I also need students of these degree programs to get on board with me so that we can get it started. So this is just a call for the task force committee. So if you're a student and you're in either of these programs, feel free to reach out to me so that we can have further discussions on this initiative and this venture. And we have just another announcement. The MSA now at the Keyville campus, we are part of the International Federation of Medical Students Association. And this is the federation that links all medical students associations worldwide. So this would again allow us in the Keyville setting to have greater opportunities and reach to network with other medical students and other medical professionals across the world. And finally, just a few of the events or initiatives that we have upcoming. We have a casting call, but this already passed last week. I still wanted to showcase it, and this is for the Professor E. Waldron book launch on medical ethics, and this would allow medical students to participate, but not in the form of academia, but in the form of putting on a mini skit or a mini movie. So I wanted to put this out there and showcase that medical students don't only just study and run around at the hospital or wherever, but we are also full of talent and many skills. We have an MSA pop-up competition that is also here as well. And this is where students are asked to produce a poem stating why they have pursued a degree in medical sciences. We have a culture day also passed, but just for the sake of showcasing that we always have something going on. And then finally, MSA elections, which I already spoke about. So look out for the MSA elections, the nomination period, and all the information that will be shared on our Instagram page. All right, and that's it. So follow us on Instagram and all the other social media platforms that I have here. If you want to reach out, we are always available and accessible to hear your concerns or even any ideas of any initiatives or endeavors that we can undertake. And that's it, representing from the Faculty of Excellence. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Shanice. Listen, the word on the street is that Shanice was such a good rep, she had to do it twice. When something was so good, so nice, you have to do it twice. And honestly, I have to agree, because even before becoming a counselor, I had to just look in admiration at how Shanice led her faculty. She did a very good job last year, and she said, listen, I'm coming bigger, I'm coming better. But listen, Shanice come with the linguistics and the Spanish and all of that. And before this, Nick decided he's gonna stunt on us and say that he can speak Spanish. So I'm gonna ask him to also thank Shanice in Spanish, because so nice, you have to do it twice. I have to thank Shanice, and Nick, you have to thank Shanice in Spanish as well. So come through.
Okay, I'll dust off my Spanish vocal cords for this one, all right? Okay, so Shanice, gracias por su presentación. Thank you for your presentation.
Shanice, you have to come back and tell me if you can get an A+, because I speak French. I prefer French. But so let's hear it. How did he do, Shanice?
Muy bien, muy bien.
Très bien. Okay, so with that, at this time we will be having the presentation from the Faculty of Sport representative, Mr. Best. Are you ready?
Yep.
Okay, great. Take it away.
Hey, everybody. I don't have a fancy presentation like the rest, so I'm just going to speak. For our week of activity, not for our week of activities, as we were going up through the week, what we started off with was, our first initiative, Pink Wednesdays, and then a donation towards the breast cancer. And then throughout the rest of the year, we were looking at, getting some memorabilia as it relates to the Faculty of Sport and Sports Science Society, etc. And I can say, well, we did our shirt picking section, which I'll be mad honest, right? There were so many blues, like light blue, turquoise blue, all these fast looking blue. There's no blue as blue. And it was very hard to select a blue color. So what we had to do was, put all the blues inside of a bag and, shake it up and try to pick one of those. So a blue was selected, a green, I think was selected, and either a gray and black. So it is just, we have already gotten the shirts purchased. It's just to get them inside of Barbados now, as it has been our little thing. Also, we've also got some other memorabilia as well as it relates to, I think it was bands and I think something else, I can't remember, but we have some little other items as well as it relates to the sports faculty, Sports Science Society. So we've been doing that. As my events officers say, bottles as well. He's also looking to take over after me, so I look forward to seeing him. I guess from now on is like, right now our week of activities is coming up in March. We're sharing that with CHAPS, and we're looking at since March is the month of Disability Month. Our activities are structured in an essence around that particular theme. So you can look out for those. I'm not sure if I'm missing anything. Let me think. I don't think so. I think that concludes everything from my side. We're keeping it a little bit quiet this side, and we're just we're just looking to end off the year with a bang. So just hold firm, just follow us at Sports Science Society on Instagram, and we'll keep you updated there. Okay, guys, have a good night. Be safe. That's it for
Thank you so much, Roderick, for that report. I tell you, Roderick, before this year ends, we may have to have a little scrimmage or something, man. A little one-on-one.
We're recording it live, right? That's something I'll email you about, sir. Honestly, if I be honest, right, we're my events officer. If I be mad honest, I commend him. I also commend the rest of my committee. They have been very working underneath trying to get certain things put together for you guys. But as I say, let's look out. We have some stuff that we would really like to get, showcase a little this, a little that. But as you know, they still have the COVID rules that we need to follow. We still have to make sure we go through OSS and make sure that this next and third. But honestly speaking, we are currently working on some stuff. The only issue is that the Faculty of Sport, I forgot to mention this, the Faculty of Sport is going to be under renovations soon. due to the fact of the track getting taken up and stuff like that. So that is something that may hamper some of the other stuff, but once we're able to do, get certain things, only way, we got some stuff coming. Hold tight. We got some stuff coming.
We love to hear that, Adelia. We love to hear that. Now, given that our Faculty of Sport representative has given his report, I am going to now invite the scientist on the Guild, our lovely science and technology representative, Ms. Chelsea Jordan, to report on behalf of her faculty.
Thank you very much, Nikhil. I was coming for Shanice because it's a good thing that Bess went in between us, because she said the Faculty of Excellence, but over my side of the pond, we say Faculty of Greatness. So, I had to come and just ease that in there. But, we have a connection. We raise students in the science and technology side, and then we loan them to her, to execute their medical passions. But good evening, everyone. Yes, two-piece combo, greatest faculty. So good evening, everyone. I just want to go through quickly some things that we have, some student matters, initiatives, and upcoming events. And just to begin, when we have our AGM during our week of activities, we will go more in depth into these things, but I just want to bring up our student staff liaison meetings. These are usually supposed to be for every department, so BCS, CMP, and MET, but unfortunately, we were only able to have BCS last semester, but this coming semester, we're having all three again. For that case, we would have sent out surveys to the students and gotten their feedback, because obviously for student staff liaison meeting is when we take the students' issues and we take them directly to the staff and try to work out some results and resolutions. So we would have done that, and that would have been a successful meeting. And then for our December exams, we had a couple of issues with coming out of the computer science, math, and physics department. We would have taken those issues to the dean and the head of department. And unfortunately, the results weren't as we all would have expected or wanted, but we still got a bit of options that the students could have taken as a result. Some initiatives, along with our ongoing textbook drive and trying to get our mentorship program off the road. This coming semester, we'll be partnering with the Frank Wall Hall, for their award ceremony. We will be donating 2 prizes for level 1 and level 2 students of FST, so you can look up for that. All you were late, I think that's the correct word. And then for our upcoming events, FST Open Day started today actually, and it runs until the 4th of March. And this is basically where, next slide. And this is basically where incoming students or prospective students of the UWK who have an interest in science and technology will be able to hear, from lecturers, from students, all about what FST is about, all the courses that are offered, all the opportunities that you get. And specifically on the 2nd of March, there'll be a meet and greet with current and past students. So you'll be able to get a feel for how UWI is for us now, plus some students who would have gone on to do their doctorate, gone on to get jobs. So you can get a feel of what the science field has to offer outside of your 3 to 4 years at the university. And last but not least, the best week on faculty in the entire school, the Faculty of Science and Technology Week. We are sharing that with UWK Association for Persons with Disabilities, and that will be on from the 13th to the 19th. Sorry, the theme will be shared later on, and more information to come as well. And we will also be having our AGM throughout that week. So you can look forward to any more information, but for sure for FST Open Day, please keep up to date with our Instagram page, FST KPhil, and Nerd FST. We'll be dropping links on how to register for these sessions, and anyone you know who's interested, share with them, and let's get persons coming into the faculty. So thank you very much and have a good night.
Thank you so much, Chelsea. And we're from the best faculty on campus. I know a lot of persons may not want to hear that, but when you see that yellow and you see the particles and you see the light bulbs and you see the algorithms and stuff, there's only one faculty that takes first spot, and that's SciTech. I want to thank Chelsea for giving us that report. And at this time, we are going to go on to our ICC update. So before we do that, I know that persons from the faculty, I don't want to say the faculty on the Hill because the halls may say that they have that phrase, but the ones that would clear our names, quote unquote, the faculty of law, we would have realized that due to circumstances, there's no report today. However, I'm here to inform students that the faculty of law is having a special general meeting tomorrow. And this general meeting will be some place where students can get information, vital information, as it pertains to the faculty and the events of the faculty. So just to let you know, law students, we have not forgotten you. Your faculty has put provisions in place for you to have a special general meeting, and that happens tomorrow, the 1st of March, 2022. So at this time, I'm going to ask our Vice President, Mr. Terrell Giles, to give us our ICC updates.
Hi, good evening. Thank you, Nick, and good evening, Blackbirds. Firstly, I just want to thank everyone for coming to the AGM this evening. It's been a pleasure serving this year. I certainly am not even a walk now, so I won't be running this year, but I do wish all the candidates all the best, I must say. One of the first things I was tasked with was creating that the calendar. I mentioned it because I made a few changes and I realized that there weren't many complaints this year. So I do wish to extend to the incoming vice president, when she gets here, whoever that may be, we want to continue this calendar to some extent because we do recognize that there weren't many complaints this year. Another thing, I was pretty excited to get cracking with approving some associations and clubs, but there was just one, and this was the reestablishment or the reemergence of the Met Society. And they currently are just awaiting, I'd say, approval of their constitution. However, because of the situation with the constitutional chairperson and what's not, as soon as that person is elected, they'll be good to go with their constitution. But as far as I'm aware, they're meeting as a society and they have things in place. They're just awaiting that final approval. I, as vice president, I can only read the constitution. I certainly can't approve it. So another thing that we've done in this office, we've been guiding the associations through the method that they have to use now to meet their membership, new membership, incoming membership when they first start school. So OSS now has this data protection policy and what's not. So it's not as easy as saying, tell us who's coming in from GrainSat or BSA or JSAT. There's a bit of a process now where OSS will do that facilitation. And so we've been playing around and guiding them through that, and we'll solidify that process for the next semester. Well, not me, but the office. This was a big collaboration with OSS where we had a conversation with on Ubuntu. And this is an initiative to connect UWI students to African universities and possibly even have student exchanges. It's been a very silent conversation because it's in the very early stages. It's still in the developmental stages. And so far, we've spoken to a few professors and deans in the African continent. And very soon, we wish to extend those student exchanges so that we can have KFIL students traveling to Africa and African students traveling to KFIL and get that bond going on. One of the major initiatives that I'm proud of, though, is before the then treasurer, Ms. Pinard, left, and she's probably smiling right now. She agreed, because we did recognize that the subventions for the clubs and societies were a bit low. She agreed that we would put aside a special fund, which I asked for, so that in the event that the subventions weren't enough, this fund will augment the subvention and give clubs a boost. So what happened is, in a few cases, the subvention did turn out not to be enough. And I honestly, in my mandate, it was to have a board and all that approve who's eligible for the funds. But the request for the funds was not as hefty as I suspected. So it was a very easy approval process where persons were able to benefit from this fund. And we're very proud of that. Another initiative, but I won't say initiative, but opportunity, which I was able to share with the presidents last week. The Government Industrial School, they have a mentorship initiative facilitated by PATH, and I've been able to specially extend it to the presidents, because the Government Industrial School, as many of you know, is very near and dear to the Guild. When we did some advocacy for them last year under the theme Protect Our Girls. So this mentorship initiative is a paid internship, I must say, where they'll pair a UWI student to a student at the Government Industrial School. Most of you know it as Small Dogs. And yes, we've been sending that out. We've had a few town halls with the presidents, and there weren't many because, there weren't a lot of issues, but the two major issues that we picked up from those town halls were, one, the presidents had a bit of PR issues, where I wrote that out with the Guild PRO, where they felt as though their posters weren't being broadcast to the level that we would like them to. And it was in the PRO's report as well, where he noted the dip. So it was around the time of the meeting, so the dates add up. And communication when the then treasurer, Ms. Pinard, left. So we did have a bit of communication issues there as well, where drawdowns were late, etc., because, the then treasurer left. And we do thank Ms. Pinard for her service, and she did put measures in place that we can bounce back quickly. So that's it for the ICC report, and have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you very much, Cyril. I know the clubs and societies are very proud of your work. You have indeed been on the ground, listening to their complaints, having the town halls, and I'm sure the presidents are even more motivated to work as a result of that. And I'm sure that they will continue to work. So thank you very much for that, Mr. Giles. And at this point, we have wrapped up counselors' reports, not completely, the faculty reps and the vice president. And now we will be moving to the highly anticipated financial reports from our acting treasurer, Miss Nanyamka Burnett. So at this time, I invite Ms. Burnett to present the financial reports.
Good evening again, everyone. Let us just jump right in. This report covers the quarterly period, October to January 2021 to 2022. Our drawdowns on our revenues would have been acquired from between October and November, $58,685.18. December to January, $61,764.26, which brought our total revenue to $120,449.44. We'll start off with our salaries and deductions. Now, in the month of October, we would have spent $12,353.07 on our salaries. In November, $4,951.50. December, $4,899.72. And in January, $4,811.89, which brought us to a total of $27,016.18. Now, you'll notice that our figures after October are significantly less, and this is due to the severing of the Gale staff, and we would have saved almost $40,000 between the previous period and the current period. Let us go into our other expenditure. Now, our gas. In the month of October, we would have spent $2,180.97. Prior to October, you will not see any more payments because the Gale van would have been done. In October, we invested $1,200 into our Gale pantry. Thirdly, Caribbean cuisine, we would have spent $2,412.77. Our student assistance and welfare, $8,360. Building and maintenance, $2,253.65. Our Gale Council subventions, $5,150. And CHAPS would have been $15,311.18. And our bank charges for that month would have been $103.90, which brought our total expenditure for that month to $36,972.47. For the month of November, we would have invested $1,978.66 in the Gale pantry. We would have spent $4,840 on our welfare, and we would have given away some prizes during our Gale general meeting, which would have amounted to $500. Going down to office supplies, we would have invested $2,942.75. Cleaning supplies, $1,775.48. Gale Council subventions, $5,400. ICC subventions, $1,200. Our Zoom subscription for the month of November, we would have paid $314.45. And our bank charges for that month were $90.90, bring our total in November to $19,042.24. Now on to the month of December. We would have spent $1,035.06 in Caribbean cuisine. Now, the Guild of Student Union was closed. However, this figure is due to a backlog of invoices that wouldn't have been sent to us before. So when we received them, we would have paid those excess funds. Our student assistance and welfare, $5,500. Our Gale Council subventions, $9,802. Our phone allowance, council phone allowances, $7,650. And our bank charges for that month were $28.20. And our total for the month of December would have been $24,015.26. For the month of January, we would have spent $4,400 on welfare. Our cleaning supplies for that month would have been $1,000. Our Gale Council subvention, $6,900. ICC subventions, $5,100. And CHAP subvention, $22,800. And our bank charges for that month were $94.50, which brought our total for January to $40,294.50. And our total expenditure for this quarterly period would have been $120,324.47. And we would have carried forward a remaining balance of $124.97. This brings us to the end of the financial report. I will now hand back over to our moderators.
Thank you so much, Namnyanka. And as we move on, we just had a mouthful. We know we had a mouthful, and I'm pretty sure that the events committee would indeed give you a mouthful as well. Probably not sure if it's something to eat, but there's another prize giving session and it's happening right now, and it'll be done by our returning officer, Ms. Chanel Blackman.
Hi, good evening, guys. Thank you for joining us. So again, just go over to the Guild Events page. That is at guildevents.cavehill. So give you 5 seconds to get there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, should be there. And again, just DM the answer to our page. So the first question, the Faculty of Culture, Creative and Performing Arts have been doing an excellent job thus far. How many Black History Month video productions have they released? I'll read that again. The Faculty of Culture, Creative and Performing Arts have been doing an excellent job thus far. How many Black History Month productions have they released? Dun, 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 dun. That's how Jeopardy thing does go. I have no idea. I suck at these things. But next question. What was the title of the last episode of The Nest? What was the title of the last episode of The Nest? And if you're on the events page, I mean, that's the easy find. Come on, guys. Come on, guys. Okay, next question. The Faculty of Law recently celebrated their week. What was the title of their games night? So read that again. The Faculty of Law recently celebrated their week. What was the title of their games night? I see all the answers coming in. Love it, love it, love it. Okay, so move on to question number 9. Who were the moderators for SOSAI's famous SOSAI sit-down held in the month of February? So read that again. Who were the moderators for SOSAI's famous SOSAI sit-down held in the month of February? And look at these answers. I love that y'all been coming out and y'all been supporting everybody. Absolutely love it. So the last question, so make sure you guys are ready. Okay, so what is the title of our newspaper produced by our PCC and his team? So again, what is the title of our newspaper produced by our PCC and his team? Loving the answers coming out. Yes, someone said that the PCC is doing a fantastic job, and we do agree with that. So that is it for the prize giving. So I'll hand back over to either Adelia or Nick.
Thank you very much, Chanel. You did a great job asking the questions, and I'm sure that you will have quite the task trying to select the winners. And I know that the prizes are going to be very attractive. Sometimes I wish I could enter these prize giving portions because I be wanting nice prizes too. But, you know, hopefully one day somebody will say, you know, here you go. I think you deserve my prize. But until then, Blackbirds, I hope you do enjoy your prizes. So at this time, I think that was very good to lead us into the next section. We'll be getting into something a little more somber. So this time we are going to invite Mr. Raheem Augustine Joseph to present the constitutional reform proposal on behalf of the Constitutional Committee. So Mr. Augustine Joseph, you can take it away.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Good night, all. Of course, I too, Madam Secretary, want to enjoy from the fruits and the spoils of the events committee and the prizes. But let me get into it straight away. As you know, the Cavehill Guild of Students is a body within the university, which is really geared towards the active student representation and leadership. And already it does so through the creation creation of sustainable empowerment programs for both undergraduate and graduate students. And really the mission and the aim of the organization is really to advocate and represent the interests of students, but more so to develop and implement holistic programs, which really are both innovative and traditional to ensure the development of students. Really, as per Section 39 of the Constitution, and I hope that everybody has it on file or close to them, we were, of course, supposed to have this EGM tonight, and you're aware, based on if it is that you're familiar with the Constitution, that the Guild Constitution can only be amended, or rather the new amendment can only be done only 3 years after the last one has been done. So we were perfectly placed to be able to make amendments this year. However, there are certain complexities which we faced, and therefore we recognize that we would not necessarily be presenting any constitutional amendments tonight because of a myriad of complexities. But rather what we would do, and we have started this process, and I will just enlighten you on it, is really present a roadmap which we will take into the last day of the tenure, and also present a council that is upcoming to continue the process, or rather start the process of constitutional reform. And therefore, if it is that we came tonight to make any amendments, we would not, or rather the next council would not be able to make the more substantial amendments which is necessary. So the last amendments would have already been done in 2018 thereabout, under the stewardship of Mr. Lloyd Robinson Jr., who was the Faculty of Law Rep and the constitutional chairperson of the Guild. And what happened, as I mentioned, is that Article 66 really states that amendments which are written, or rather amendments which are part of the Constitution, really need to go through that 3-year period. What we did, and we were empowered by Section 16A of the Constitution, is that we set up an advisory committee under the Guild of Students to really go through the Constitution and really work on a few key recommendations to be able to do some very basic amendments. But what we said, and that we are quite cognizant, that the constitutional reform process is not an academic exercise alone. It's not something that 3, 4, 5 people could sit in a room and determine the entire trajectory of the Guild. But we said that it must be a full participatory process. And I trust that next council, or members of this council, that will start that process to really recreating and reinventing the Constitution to be able to cater to the needs, the upcoming needs. And really what it is that we wanted to do, and we really were able to sort of itemize the Constitution in a few areas. One, we set upon a task of tidying up the Constitution by ensuring that you have the synchronized provisions. So, for example, as you would note, there are provisions in the Constitution which really overlap. There are provisions in the Constitution that really say the same thing. And therefore, we went through a very robust process of tidying up the Constitution, at least as our first step, which would have included a lot of amendments as part of our recommendations to be able to ensure that we start this process. We also want to go through the election reform process, or rather we went through it, the issue of vacancies, the issue of recall, etc., because we recognize that in some instances, you have situations whereby you have really undemocratic principles in liberal democratic states being postured as democratic. And therefore, to that extent, we want to be able to repudiate some of these things and find the best way to have the balance between the needs of people and these sort of things. We also looked at the finances and assets section. We looked at offices and standing committees of the Guild of Students. And a section of it is that we want to be able to open up to the broad student body is really what is the broader vision for student development and governance. What is it that we want to do in relation to the modernization of the Guild Constitution? And I'm happy that you would have all been amazed, and I too have been amazed by the report that was presented by the PRO, because we've sat at an executive level, rather sat at a Guild Council and said, listen, the modernization of the Constitution must be that, one, it is accessible, and two, that within the very same instrument, there are hyperlinks and other forms of technological things that within a technological age that allow you to find certain documents and find certain covenants and find certain areas which are external documents to the Constitution, which really allow you to get the access. And some of you may be wondering, what really is this guy saying? I'm saying that the document that guides all of the decisions that we make must be modernized for you to be able to access it. And even more than that, that equally, we want to really drive the importance of you owning and appreciating the Constitution as much as we do. We also want to be able to implement the agreed reforms from the former Guild. So the last Guild and into this Guild would have made the point that there needs to be the separation between the faculty of law representative and the constitutional chairperson of the guild. We feel that at a philosophical level. And to that extent, we'll already be making advancement towards this. But we've also held the belief that students equally must be part of this process and understand the demarcation of these rules. So we've really, as I mentioned, itemized some of these key thematic areas. And what we've done is, and I'm very happy for members who avail themselves. So for example, Mr. Lewis, the Sherlock representative, Ms. Magalaj, the IACC, Mr. Gage, the PRO himself would have been part of this committee, Ms. Hall, and many other councillors who've chipped in and already made recommendations as part of this exercise for us to then present to council and further present to the students as our roadmap. In the coming days and weeks, we'll engage you further, but we felt it necessary at this point to let you know that we remain committed, or rather we stand committed to ensure that your constitution is reformed, to ensure that your constitution becomes a document that represents a modernization of student governance, and even more than that, that represents your interests. Thanks, Madam Secretary.
Thank you, Rahim. And honestly, as a fellow law student, I must say you handled yourself very well just now. It has been an unconventional year, but what the pandemic has taught us is that we have to adapt. And I do think that as a representative, as a guild at large, we have learned to adapt to new circumstances, and we appreciate when councils are able to fill other roles and act in other capacities given sudden changes. With that being said, I now invite the returning officer, Ms. Shaniel Blackman, to give us some updates on the election process, because eventually, very soon, we'll be phasing out and getting into a new tenure with new councillors. So Ms. Blackman, please inform us as to the way forward. Thank you.
Thank you again, Adelia. So guys, we are basically in the middle of the election calendar. Tomorrow will be our first sample polling, and persons would have asked me as to why it's so early. It's just to give the candidates the idea of what they're campaigning, the prospects of such, and if it has been successful, or what else has to be done. There will be another sample polling on March the 8th, and that is right after the mini debates. It's important to note that this year the mini debates will follow a different style. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with the US presidential debates format, but it will follow to suit, and this will give the candidates more room to engage with each other, to exchange ideas, to speak. I think that in the past, election has been very robust. I think we need to make that a bit more human. The student body will be allowed to pose questions. However, this will not be directly done. So that link will go out shortly for you guys to give questions. And on the note of questions and you guys interacting, I'm sure you would have seen our partnership with the U Report. And this is just to engage you guys a bit more in the election process. Again, we really want to humanize this electoral season. We just don't want it to be you guys coming out voting. I want you guys to feel more involved. So you guys can check out that link and be sure to fill out that poll. That poll basically gives the candidates an idea of what you, the electorate, want, so that mandates aren't just placed on a poster and posted, and that the incoming guild can efficiently and effectively serve you guys. Please note that the U Report in no way is involved with the election process or the results or anything. It is completely on an engagement front. So then, of course, we have debate night on the 14th that will take on its usual style. And then election day on the 15th, I would have noted some concerns from previous elections, one being particularly for the med-sci students. Some of them have rounds, so I would have asked that the election period be opened a bit earlier to allow persons to vote then. Everyone can vote at that particular time, but it's just to accommodate the MedSci students a bit more. Additionally, we would have also found that persons would have, went to vote and they were told that they couldn't. So I would have spoken to relevant personnel and they would have agreed to send out links to your student emails. And once you receive this link, it means that you then can vote. If you don't receive this link, please do email myself and you'll have that sorted for you. Notice for when that will be sent out should occur, of course, before the election period. Just few other updates. You guys will be given a voter's guide. This is basically just to assist in your decision-making process, tips on how to effectively analyze mandates, the actual steps for voting, as again, we'll be using the Election Buddy platform. And I would also like to have a appointment workshop. So, you guys, the Guild Council, there are appointed positions. So I would like to have just a workshop where persons are interested to run for those, just come and have the counselors that are outgoing, such as events officer, PCC, to just speak to those prospective incoming counselors. So that is it for me and elections. I will hand back over to Adelia or Nick.
Thank you so much, Shanil, for the update as it pertains to elections. And we're indeed looking forward to what we consider the most exciting time here at the KFO campus. And with that being said, we're now moving to any other business. And at this time, those counselors who will not have been able to make their presentations earlier, they'll do so at this time. So I'm going to open the floor to those counselors to give their updates under any other business.
Good evening, Blackbirds. How are you doing tonight? My name is Renetta Hainslin, and I am the CHAPS president for this academic year. And this academic year, we are happy to help. All right, so I'm not feeling well tonight, so I'm just going to be a bit brief. This year, we would have given 136 students pantry, as Mr. Culhoda Leach would have rightfully said when he did his proposal earlier. We also given students computers. We would have given $19,000 worth in scholarships as well. This academic year, we did something different. We wanted to keep our students in the loop, so we did a little TV show called Chaps Listens, which updated the postgrad population about what is happening. In March, we are doing a award ceremony, just to award the most outstanding achievements in postgrad. We also want to put out our food barrels, out to collect food items for the AIDS Foundation and also our neighbor in St. Vincent. As you know, we are happy to help. In April, we want to sell shirts to the postgrad community to bring back some income that can go towards financial assistance, as we are very much student oriented. In May, we want to give out exam packages to ensure our students are functioning effectively. The package will include a grocery voucher, sanitizer, a mask, pens, and a booklet. We had a recent student query, which was about the grad study building. We would have had a tour with Miss Holligan, and the renovations would have already started. It started on Saturday, and they're currently on the top floor in the building. We also lobbied for the grad building to be reopened 24/7, and that has also been approved. So we here at CHAPS, we want to ensure that our students are happy as we are happy to help. Thank you, Blackbirds, and good night.
Okay, good night, everybody. I would like to inform you all that the Games Committee, and by extension, the Guild of Students, is on the verge of recommencing the swim program for the next couple of weeks in this semester. Normally, this program would have been funded by the Academy of Sport, but as of this year, the program was not able to be conducted by the Academy and the school. So I took it upon myself with my committee to send in a proposal and have this recommence this semester. The Guild will be paying. That is only because we're trying to keep it free for students instead of having students pay from their pockets. And that will be $20 each time they go to the aquatic center. And if you're going from a fee of free to $20, I think that will demotivate students from coming. So we will be covering the cost. This cost will be covered by the subventions of the Games Committee chairperson, as well as some other Guild councillors who gave some of the financial subventions to support this venture. These councillors include the UCC, Mr. Jamani Brathwaite, the PRO, Mr. Nikhil Willoughby, and the PCC, Mr. Alan Gage. The Games Committee and the Guild of Students, and by extension, the students of the Cable campus would like to thank you all for donating your subventions towards this program. We are looking to have this, the funds that they are adding towards my subvention will not only pay for the program itself, but we plan to have it pay for the Guild shuttle, the UE shuttle, because as you all know, the shuttle is free during the week, but on weekends we have to pay a fee to have it accessible to students. So their subvention would go straight to that. We are looking to have this initiative, well, the swim program recommenced by the 2nd to 3rd week in March. Again, I'm not giving an exact date because we are still waiting for some final instructions from the Office of Student Services. And once given the final okay, a flyer will be sent out so that students can see the dates that the program is being offered, and a registration link will be attached as well so that students can apply in advance so we know exactly who is coming. Please note that students are only allowed to come onto the bus and to the program with a valid student's ID. And yes, that means you should not have any holds on your account, and students should be more or less in good financial standing with the university. Okay, as it relates to the opening of the gym, I realized that we got two different responses, but I know the president already shed some light on the matter. However, I would first like to inform students that the gym falls under the Academy of Sport and not the Guild of Students and not the Games Committee chairperson. So please remember this when you are coming back and asking questions. We need to refer to another body to get the answers that you all seek. The Games Committee has been working alongside the Academy of Sports. Some persons in there have been giving us information. And I must say thank you to Mr. Shane Lewis, Mr. Christian Renwick, Mr. Kevin Grant, and Mr. Wharton. They have been very helpful throughout this process in giving us information. All right. Your concerns for the gym have been brought up, and I must say I have been steadily seeking updates on the matter and was told to await an official notice from the registrar, as there was a meeting previously with somebody from the COVID unit giving them information on whether or not the gym should reopen. The last meeting we had with you all, the president stated that the gym is opening, which is true. However, there are still a few COVID-19 protocols that must be put in place before the school opens the gym. I was also informed that the gym was inspected and cleared to reopen once those COVID-19 protocols are met. So yes, it is on the verge of being open, but there are a few things needed to be put in place, and that is done by the administration and the registrar. So once we, the Guild of Students, get the information, we will be giving it all out to you all. Again, I would like to apologize to all of us gym people. I will say us because I had to find a gym as well. I apologize for the late response. I'm sorry that the gym was not able to open in a timely manner. But again, I am doing all that I can in order to assist each and every one of us in getting that sorted out. Also, I would like to congratulate all the members of Princess Alice House For those of you who don't know what Princess Alice House is, that is Red House, and they emerged victorious in Chancellor Sports last semester. So thank you to everybody who participated. Thank you to all the houses who came out, but congratulations to Princess Alice House, victorious for another year, 3 years reigning. Love to see it, guys. Also, I would like to acknowledge Miss Stephanie Pascal, Mr. Justin John, Miss Alicia Williams, and Miss Shade Smith for participating in the games section of the Cave newspaper and winning their prizes. For those of you who haven't collected your prizes as well, please contact me in order to do so. Here marks the end of my update. Thank you so much for giving me a listening ear.
Thank you so much, Genesis, for that report. And I know that a lot of students are happy indeed to hear about the gym and to hear about the swimming program. I've been out of the water so long, Genesis, I don't remember if I know how to swim anymore. I may have to start from scratch. I may have to sign up for this very same program. But thanks a lot for the update. We really appreciate it. Adelia.
Yes, Mr. Willoughby. So at this time, I would like to again thank all the counselors for their updates. And, you know, we are getting into the highly anticipated section of the AGM. At this time, we invite the Blackbirds to ask their questions. We are now in the question and answer segment. And Nikhil and I will be asking the questions. We will be redirecting them to the respective counselor, and we will be asking the questions that are in the Q&A box. So if it is that you previously typed your message in the chat, we're asking you kindly, just so that we can follow along and ensure that all the questions are answered in a timely manner and that none of the questions are missed. We're asking you, please type your question in the Q&A chat. We don't want to have to sift through the messages as well. We want to get through this in a most efficient and effective manner. So please, Blackbirds, I beseech you, type your questions in the Q&A section. At this time, we will go ahead.
Oh,
go ahead,
just
Nick.
to add to you, Adelia. I was just going to say that we know persons have concerns. You know, we all have concerns about certain things, and we appreciate the students, you know, voicing these concerns so that we can indeed get the answers to you. We ask as well that you be patient with us as we get the answers, and we will be allowing the counselors to also answer to get these questions cleared up on your behalf. So let's go, I guess.
Okay, Nick. So ding, ding, ding. Are you gonna say the first question or should I?
Okay. Okay, go ahead.
All right, so anonymous attendee asked, would the persons who won the scholarship be published, the names, faculty, etc.? If I may, I will go ahead and answer simply because I was responsible for this initiative, well, along with the other counselors which helped with the process. The scholarship names were indeed published. It is not customary that they're published, but the recipients were published and there was a ceremony. So the list of names are on the Instagram. So I invite you to look there. Thank you very much. The next question is from Ariel Rock. Can classes go back online? And I'm gonna direct that question to Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Ms. Nemhard. I know for the most part, the majority of the classes are online, and we would have had the confusion with the announcement of the face-to-face return, but we would have gotten the clarity that, of course, that was to be a gradual and very casual return. And in the event that I was assured that in the event that there were members of any course or any department, any faculty that had issues with coming back to the campus for face-to-face teaching, once those concerns were made known, that provisions would be made and the class would more than likely remain online. So it shouldn't be a problem for any class in particular to remain online. Shouldn't be a problem at all.
Okay, thank you so much, Kyle, for that answer. Trying to keep up with the questions so that I don't miss anything. I see here, how could the council phone allowance be reduced? Kyle, I don't know if you want to touch on that briefly to give some clarity there.
I think, Nick, it may be best we let Madam Treasurer answer that. She would have the details and specifics better than me as it pertains to the finances.
Okay, understandable.
Now, for clarity, the phone allowance is broken down by the executive and the remainder of the council. So each councillor is provided with an allowance to conduct guild business. We all know that our faculty reps work really hard, so they obviously sometimes are on late night calls with students overseas and such. So each member of the executive receives $150 and the remainder of the council receives $100. Now, the reason the number in December is so high is because for the three previous months, the council would not have received their phone allowances. So we would have piled all into one and distributed those for that semester. I would not have set the phone allowance. So, I mean, in terms of it being reduced, I'm not sure, but that is the breakdown of it.
Okay, thank you so much for that answer, Nanyanka. I see a question here, Delia. It says, is the CHAPS amount, I think that's supposed to be billed, included in the Guild's general amount expenditure figures? To my knowledge, CHAPS executive receive a meal from the amount every day, sometimes included for their friends. Can some light be shed on this? I'll let the postgraduate rep, I guess she can address this, but I will say, as it pertains to the figure attached to the amount, we know that these are difficult times for some students, and there have been students who would come to the Guild. They would let us know that, hey, there's difficulty in the provision of meals, and the Guild, we take it upon ourselves to be able to provide those meals. We're not chefs, so we look to the next best option to be able to provide those students with these meals. And we understand the times that students are living in, and thus, I guess if persons would have had queries as it pertains to the figure attached to the amount, that is indeed a reflection of the students that we would have indeed helped throughout the semester, throughout the year, sorry. And if there's any more clarity needed, I'll let the postgraduate rep, she can address that.
Thank you, Nate.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Nate. I do agree with the sentiments. As a student leader, we are supposed to be student oriented, and it pains me to see the struggles that students go through, either undergrad, either postgrad. The CHAPS bill, as you very know, it was set up to the extent that we help students along the way. Some students necessarily may not need, say, $500 or $600, but they may need a meal for the day. And that's why the CHAPS bill is here. We are here to help all students, mostly postgrad students. So any other questions that must be directed about the bill, you can either ask me or Nikel. We'll be glad to answer any questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Renetta, for that answer. Adelia?
Okay, thank you, Nick, and thank you, Renetta. So the next question says, UEVAL 2022 or no, since the entire island and campus is opening up. So I will redirect that question to our NACC.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I think that we are aware by now that the protocols are beyond me. It more so lies in the government and also Office of Student Services and Administration. We also realize that campus protocols often differs from national protocols, but what I can say is that proposals are in order as I have an upcoming meeting with the Office of Student Services in 2 days' time. And I guess this meeting will chart the course as to if, how we may go about Revolve 2022, sorry. In addition, I have also been liaising with private stakeholders and the relevant authorities for some possible collaborations and also information as it relates to the hosting of events on the island. So I hope that this answers your question.
Thank you very much, Mr. NACC. So we will see. So the next question is not a question, but bring back the budget or financial report, please, Madam Treasurer.
I guess, I don't know if while she's doing that, you want to answer a few more, Delia, or?
Well, you can go ahead and ask me.
Okay, give me a sec. Okay, I think that one was answered just now. Just scrolling through to make sure that we don't have any redundancies. Okay, it says here, to Mr. President, at the last AGM, you spoke on the give back hours. Then a premature statement was released to the student body, then recanted within minutes. Can you please give an update on where we stand with the give back hours?
As it pertains to the Give Back program, there were a series of meetings and discussions that were held that led up to us hopefully suspending the program, understanding the climate that we're in given the COVID-19 pandemic. Further to that, as it pertains to how it speaks now to how the program stands at is, unfortunately, due to a lapse in communication and some changes on the ministerial side of things, we now stand at a state where we are being informed officially, let me note that word as well, officially being informed, as it stands, students who aren't able to meet the give back criteria, but have shown some form of attempt, will be given leeway. However, the clean slate across the board isn't what is being considered at this time. So it's not a case where all of the hours are being suspended, but once you have shown that there's been an attempt and you have shown that you have tried to do your civic duty and give back to the nation, that leeway would be arranged. That is the difference between the post we were released and how it stands now. But that was due to a lapse in communication.
Okay, thank you for that clarity indeed, Mr. President. Adelia, anything we missed?
Okay, so I see a question. Why was there no IACC report? Miss Magalaj, I know you are able to answer this question, so you can go ahead.
Hi, sure. Good night, everyone. So typically the IACC does not do a report at the AGM. However, if you do have any questions relating to the Office of the International Affairs Committee Chairperson, you're always free to reach out to us on our Instagram, reach out to me personally, and I can answer any question that you have related to our office. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Miss Magalaj. So I see two questions consecutively, one from Justin John and one from an anonymous attendee, and it is regarding subventions. Justin asks, when will the GILSUM committees be given their subventions? And the anonymous attendee asks, many clubs, societies, and associations have yet to receive their subventions. What exactly is the holdup? So I invite either the Vice President or the Treasurer to answer this question.
Hi, Adelia. I have been more or less lobbying. It's frustrating me as well. So I would like the question answered as well. So the acting treasurer certainly has the answer, but I will say that we will continue to try our best to push through these. And as I mentioned earlier, we did see there was a breakdown in communication after Ms. Pinard left. So that gap between there, even though Ms. Pinard had things in place, it would have definitely caused a delay. But I too would like the process speeded up. sped up. So can the acting treasurer please inform?
Unfortunately, we're still awaiting the confirmation from the bursary on our most recent dollar. We haven't received official approval as yet for the different clubs and association. Even my Faculty of Humanities and Education Committee is still awaiting our subvention. So I understand that it's taken a bit of time, but that's not on our end. We're still awaiting confirmation from the side of the bursary.
Thank you, Miss Burnett. And with that, we had a question previously about sharing the financial reports, and I would just like to inform that person that the financial reports will be posted after the AGM just for efficiency, and moving forward, we will post it on the social media and you will be able to email any queries to either myself or the treasurer, and feel free to copy any other counselor which you wish to ask questions regarding the financial report. With that, I see a question regarding the scholarship again. I saw the post online, but not name or faculty or the amount. Usually when a scholarship is offered, an amount is stated. Thank you very much for that question, anonymous attendee. Well, you previously asked about the list. The list was posted. I myself am a scholarship recipient, not of the Guild scholarship, just for clarity, but I think it is fair to say that not all scholarships post the amount. However, here at the Guild, we are very transparent and we have no problem indicating that the scholarship amounts range from 1,000 to 2,000. For academic excellence, the awardees were given $2,000, and for sports and extracurricular, the recipients were given $1,000. If you have any other questions, feel free to email me or any other counselor because they can be easily answered. Thank you very much. At this time, I ask Nick to move on to the next question.
Okay. And again, guys, if there's anything I missed, you can let me know. I see something here, just to give a different perspective, from Michael Besson. It says, this has been the lowest turnout in years for candidates putting themselves up for service. Can there be something implemented in the Constitution where the Guild members of various positions take initiative to mentor someone or persons during their tenure to put themselves up for service to ensure continuity? More of a suggestion, and I take that suggestion wholeheartedly, and I would allow the returning officer to shed a few words on this particular sentiment.
Hi. So Nate, run the question by me again. Let me make sure that I have everything. You can hear me?
Hey, yes, Michael Besson. You want me to read it again?
Yeah, this is so I can
Okay,
make sure that
this
I
has been the lowest, basically saying that this has been the lowest turnout in terms of candidates for Guild election, putting themselves up for service. And, you know, just what measures we can put in place to ensure continuity, that persons continue to do so, even despite the current climate.
Okay, thank you for that question, Mr. Besson. And to my knowledge, there has been a apprenticeship program implemented previously. I am not certain as to the progress of that, but I do take note of this suggestion, and I do think that that could be somewhat, well, not somewhat, could be extremely beneficial to the continuation of Guild Council members.
Okay, thank you so much, Shanil. I see a question here from Sunodine. A series of questions we'll go through, Medalia. The first one, what are the details, surrounding payments to the amount? Is this figure reflecting the amount of food taken and paid for towards counselors? And then 2, is the council phone allowance a bill paid towards floor, or is it physical cash towards counselors, seeing that the phone allowance was cut in the previous council and replaced with paid directly via prepaid plans with Flow? I mentioned earlier as it pertains to the amount and, you know, us procuring meals for our students, and the postgraduate representative would have also shed some light on that as well. If there is any more clarity that's needed, you can let us know. As it pertains to the council allowance, I will let the treasurer, comment on this.
My apologies, Nick. I hope you don't mind me interrupting. I do think the
That's
vice
fine.
president is going to answer the question about the phone allowance. Mr. Giles?
Okay, cool.
Hi, yes, good night, everyone. Thanks again, Chair. So Sunil, I'm sure, thank you for the question once again. I know that when you were on the council, we had those paid phones, the bill phones we had from Flow. The problem with those bill phones is that if you remember correctly, I'm sure you do, that those phones and the bill rather was in the name of the individual. And I think that it was a great initiative by the council at the time. However, it was not very futuristic thinking. So let me explain. Sunil Dean, you had a phone when you were on the guild, right? And you moved on from the guild, but the guild phone was still in Sunil Dean's name. They didn't put it in the position name, which I think would have been a good suggestion. So it's a sticky situation where persons have moved on from the guild, no longer even students at UE, but the guild is still receiving phone bills in their names. And that's the problem there. So it's a very sticky situation which the guild is trying to get itself out of. But those are the kind of difficulties we face. So we do apologize for that, but we're even seeking legal advice as to how to get out of this bind that we so put ourselves in a year or so ago.
Thank you, Mr. VP. I do think that was a very practical answer. Sometimes when we are on the council, we understand, but from an external perspective, it is important for us to give a practical answer so that students can know that we do have their best interests at heart and we have to make the most practical decision. And in this circumstance, it was indeed the most practical decision to change the plan and go ahead with phone allowances. Now, there is a question in the chat from anonymous attendee. So, Mr. President, thank you for saving me the task of having to delegate the question. So, Mr. President, at the last AGM, you spoke on the give back hours. Then a premature statement was released to the student bodies, then recanted within minutes. Can you please give an update on where we stand with the give back hours? Mr. President?
Yeah, Adelia, I think I answered that one earlier, right?
Yeah.
All right, lovely. So we'll keep it moving. Alisa Gustav asks, question to the acting treasurer. Can island associations, clubs, and societies get an update on when they will be receiving subventions? We have been getting a runaround from you and would like a definite response. Thank you. Miss Burnett, you can go ahead and answer Ms. Gustav's question.
I would have responded before and let students know that we still haven't received our most recent drawdown. So we don't have the funds to disburse to the island association at this time. We're still awaiting confirmation from the bursary.
Thank you, Miss Burnett. So the next question that we have, Nick, just a question. Did we answer Mr. Dean's questions already, or do I go ahead and read this one?
This is 3 and 4.
Yes.
I don't think we did 3 and 4. I think 1 and 2. So you can go ahead.
All right, go ahead. I'll go ahead. Mr. Dean asks, the year has mostly been online. The reason for the Guild Counselor subventions being implemented was to take a strain off counselors when financially supporting activities of associations and students. Why increase the amount knowing that there would be no need for one? And the second question is, can we get a detailed quotation for the welfare? Does welfare itself surpass the needed threshold, or is it competing with the council subventions? I will invite the acting treasurer, Ms. Burnett, to go ahead and answer both questions.
All right, thank you. As it relates to Guild counselors, subventions, to my knowledge, they would not have been increased. That would have been done by the previous treasurer. However, the clubs and associations and the committees obviously request what they believe is necessary in order to provide for their students. So we try to give as much as possible in order to assist them in that regard. As it relates to our welfare, we can't give details in terms of what we provide to students, but as we would have said in the last general meeting, we do provide rent assistance, tuition assistance, pantry items, and living expenses and stuff like that in case any students need it.
Thank you, Ms. Burnett. And just for clarity, the Guild counselor subventions refers to the subvention that goes to committees. This does not go to personal counselors. This goes to the committees, which is then distributed to the students that interact with such committees. So we have to be careful about how we interpret what is on the financial report and translate that to other students. So for clarity, once again, the term Guild counselor subventions refers to the funds that are given to committee chairpersons to be distributed as such. Thank you very much. So the next question is, what is the update on the SOSI Dean's List ceremony? And so I will invite the SOSI rep, Mr. Bailey, to answer that question.
Yes, thank you very much for that question. Again, as was noted in the release from the faculty, in the release from the Students Committee, that has been postponed, unfortunately. That is not under the direct planning of the Students Committee, but we continue to liaison with faculty to ensure that the Dean's List ceremony is done this semester. So we would have an update, well, the faculty would provide an update on that accordingly.
Thank you, Mr. Bailey. So at this time, I move on to the next question. CHAP's budget is really high. I understand post-grad and it's expensive, but still can't something be done across the board? Undergrads need assistance also, and we are not getting it. So that's not necessarily a question per se, but I will still redirect to Miss Burnett.
Yes, it's not exactly a question. However, before I would have started, the budgets would have been fixed, so there's not much I can do in terms of that. However, I believe that Ms. Hazelin is doing a fantastic job in terms of serving her students. And of course, us, the Guild of Students, we're here for any assistance that you need. As I would have said, rent assistance, tuition assistance, pantry items, anything you need, you can just reach out to us and we will do as much as we can.
Thank you, Namyanka. Just to add to that as well, I think the postgraduate rep would have mentioned, contributing greatly to the Guild's pantry, which is across the board on a student level, so that there's no, I guess, segregation in terms of postgrad and undergrad. But the postgrad representative and her team has indeed contributed tremendously to that of undergrad and the entire student body. Let me take a look at the questions. Okay, regarding the give back hours as an extension to what was said, will the attempt to create opportunities be considered an effort to meet hours? I'll pose this to our president.
Nick, could you repeat the question? Just one more time.
Basically, if they were wondering if provisions for like more opportunities was a suggestion as it pertains to the Give Back program.
Yes, it was a suggestion that was given, but we caution them as it pertains to the more opportunities, ensure that they're feasible, viable, and just opportunities. Because I remember we had an issue with some organizations attempting to make slaves out of UWI-K-Phil students, which is something we're really trying to avoid. So we did tell them that, if possible, to look into more opportunities, but of course, approach these organizations with some caution to ensure that they don't abuse the privilege of the Give Back program.
Thank you, Mr. President. So at this time, the next question is there any ongoing discussions to have online options for classes become a permanent fixture for the university, as returning to strictly face-to-face would be a major regression? So I will pose that question to Mr. Holder Leach. Kyle, are you hearing me?
No, I had some breaking. I had a really old breakup just now. I was trying to unmute. What did you say?
Okay,
I know you said
so
there was a
I
question.
will, yes, so I will just repeat the question. It says, is there any ongoing discussions to have online options for classes become a permanent fixture for the university, as returning to strictly face-to-face would be a major regression?
That is a very interesting suggestion, because this is the first instance I've heard of persons saying they actually like the online element permanently. But no, that isn't currently on the table, especially considering the university is primarily a landed face-to-face campus, and the infrastructure needed to be put in place to maintain an online environment even during the COVID pandemic was difficult. So the considerations were never made to make it permanent, although I do know there are a few courses that do have a permanent online element. I believe Caribbean Civilization is one of them, that the classes are conducted from the Mona campus. But that is not something that was being considered across the board, but is something that I will note is a very interesting suggestion.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Holder Leach. So the next question is, I believe that the student body would like to be allowed to turn on our mics to ask questions. Being limited to questions via a text or chat box feels disingenuous and like an infringement on constitutional rights afforded to us full members of the Guild. So I will take the liberty of going ahead to answer these questions, seeing as I, along with the PRO, act as the chair for this evening's proceedings. So it is by no means a way of being disingenuous or to infringe on anyone's constitutional rights. If I remember correctly, having attended KVille when it was face-to-face as well, you would have to go to the mic. Your question would have had to be vetted. So this is just our way of trying to control the questions and to monitor, not control as in restrict you, but to monitor the questions and to have a degree of order over the proceedings so that we don't have persons opening their mics and being distracting, and to give a practical response as well. We remember when the Zoom meetings were heavily plagued by hackers. So we have to ensure that the meeting continues smoothly and there are no disruptions. So we do apologize for any inconvenience caused. If you wish to share your voice, you can feel free to send a voice note to any of the counselors and we will translate your question accordingly. But we by no means intend to infringe on your constitutional rights, and we apologize for that. But seeing as you have used this forum to state your statement, we also invite you to ask your question here. Thank you very much. So we move on to the next question. Okay, so that is not a question. We will continue moving. The subvention sum is really high and subventions aren't going out. Again, not a question. So we will keep it moving. Can the RO give more clarity as to the motion of no confidence raised against the Guild president? I was under the impression that OSS and the Guild function as separate entities. So this is outside of my jurisdiction. Miss RO, my sincerest apologies. Miss RO, you can take it away.
Thank you for that question. As most of you, if not all, would have known, the petition was submitted and there was a total of 130 names and ID numbers on such. In keeping with maintaining the validity of the petition and ensuring that there are indeed registered students, that would have been submitted to the Office of Students Association. That entity acts at, the Office of Student Services, that entity acts as the gap between admin and the student body. So they have the jurisdiction to, of course, verify the names. I do not, no member on the Guild, we does not simply put, upon asking for the verification, I was told that such cannot be given due to a lack of signatures. This was then relayed to the primary petitioner, and a meeting was held where, again, that sentiment was, discussed. So the process has been halted by the Office of Student Services, and it is important to know that conversation is still ongoing about the verification. And in the meantime, my office has decided that we will investigate the matters and the reasons proposed by the primary petitioner as it relates to the no confidence motion, and then such results would be, of course, shared with the student body. But as it stands right now, OSS states that they are unable to verify, and therefore my hands are tied, as I cannot ensure that all 130 persons are students of UWI Cape Town campus and are indeed registered.
Thank you very much, Miss Blackman. So I am just waiting. Okay, so I will go ahead and read the next question, and I'm going to ask you to stay on the line to answer and act accordingly. So Mr. Ravi Davis says, good night. Chairs, students do not have short memory, and some students are still dissatisfied with the leadership of the president. A petition with over 130 students calling for his recall was recently dismissed. With your leave, chairs, may I move a motion of no confidence in the president, Mr. Holder Leach. So Ms. Blackman, this is your jurisdiction, and I hand over to you.
The motion has been acknowledged, Mr. Davis. And once again, as I would have instructed Ms. Pascal read the last no confidence motion, we are in a physical setting, and I have no way of verifying immediately that you are indeed registered students. So you would have to submit the names and ID numbers of students to me and the reasons.
Okay.
Well,
oh, thank
go
you.
ahead, Nick.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Blackman, for that answer. I see a question here. I'm not sure if this was answered already. Question from Stephanie Pascal. As per the Constitution of the Guild of Students, the person responsible for determining the constitutional validity of any guild document is a constitutional chairperson. To this end, why hasn't the guild done or said anything in response to OSS acting outside of their jurisdiction by determining the constitutional validity, of my petition? In the absence of a constant chair, I guess Mr. Augustine Joseph can respond. Well, the individual would have quoted Mr. Augustine Joseph, and I think this is also, to the returning officer. So if you be both so willing to respond to this question, we as students would deeply appreciate it.
Madam, are you taking this or you?
Pardon me? I didn't hear the question. Sorry, it was some static.
It's in relation to, everybody can hear me, right? It's in relation to the constitutional validity of the guild document, given the absence of a constitutional chair. So the person is asking, why hasn't the guild done or said anything in response to OSS acting outside of their jurisdiction by determining the constitutional validity of the petition? Yeah.
Okay. As stated previously, conversation is ongoing with OSS as it pertains to that matter. I am not at liberty to discuss the situation, but I will say so far OSS is adamant for verifying the names because as they stated on a lack of signatures, I've been requesting information and again, responses are at a minimal. And I'm not sure what else I can say because there is no information to give.
Okay, Miss Blackman, I am going to ask you to stay on the line simply because I'm going to have to redirect a question from Mr. Davis. And we try to uphold the utmost professionalism and transparency here on the Guild. And in my capacity as the chair for the evening, I'm going to ask that a different answer is given to Mr. Davis out of respect for the Constitution under which I was elected as a Guild councillor, as well as a law student. I'm not sure what's going to happen. I know that this is on a recording and come what may, to me as well, we have to adhere to the Constitution and the students have spoken. It was not, like I can repeat the question, it was not a petition, it was a motion. I don't know how we will go forward, but in my capacity as chair, as a law student, as a Guild councillor elected under the Constitution, I have to redirect that question to you. So I don't know what's going to be the alternative response, but we, as councillors, have to listen to our constituents. So I will repeat the question once again. Good night. Chairs, students do not have short memory, and some students are still dissatisfied with the leadership of the president. A petition with over 130 students calling for his recall was recently dismissed. With your leave, chairs, may I move a motion of no confidence in the president, Mr. Holder Leach. Ms. Blackman, I turn over to you.
Okay, once again, motion has been acknowledged in a physical setting. Of course, you guys would have voted, after which we would have verified that you are indeed registered students. The Constitution speaks to members of the Guild. We have to ensure that everyone here is a full member. So I guess we could go ahead and take the names of the persons, but please note, I do need to ensure that everyone who does vote and ensuring it is half of those here, I see 166, everyone who votes either way, that you are indeed registered and full members of the Guild of Students. So I will let you guys continue with the questions while I prepare a means as to which I can take the names.
All right, thank you very much, Ms. Blackman. You know, I try my best to support our Guild, but you know, we have to support our students as well, and supporting them means that we have to adapt sometimes. This is a very nerve-wracking experience for nerve-wracking, whichever one, for all of us. And we will give you the time to, you know, get yourself together because none of us really anticipate these things. As I said, just like the pandemic, we have to learn to adapt. So Miss Blackman will be back with a response for our Blackbirds. Nick, was Miss Pascal's question asked, or should I go ahead and ask?
Yes, it was asked.
It was asked. All right, thank you very much. So we'll keep it moving. I see another question about the Island Association's subvention. Will Island Associations be able to request additional funds if the subvention was not sufficient? Miss Burnett, I will redirect this question to you.
I will redirect to the Vice President because he would have shed some light on that earlier, so he can give some more information on that.
Hi, can the question be repeated?
So the question says, will island associations be able to request additional funds if the subvention was not sufficient?
Yes, certainly. As I said, we had a special fund set aside for the ICC, and persons have accessed it already. I just need the balance of that from the treasurer, and then we're free to go from there. So yes, certainly whatever the balance is accessible by this.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mr. VP. I love that for the island associations because, you know, having served in the capacity of an island association exec, it can be very strenuous to try to serve the needs of your fellow constituents. And I'm happy that our VP is working, our treasurer is working. You know, there are hiccups sometimes, but we are really trying. So I appreciate that accommodations can be made for the island associations. So the next question is, does the acting treasurer have any kind of accounting background? So I will redirect this question to Ms. Burnett.
Thank you, Adelia. Although I don't study accounting at the KFL campus, I would have been working with my family's entrepreneurial businesses since I was like maybe 13 or so. And I would have worked in different facets over that time period. So not an academic background in terms of accounting, but yes, I do.
Thank you very much, Ms. Burnett, for that honest answer. Truthfully, anonymous attendee, Ms. Burnett will be, she was modest in her statement. I don't think very often when we ask these kind of questions, we understand that when sudden circumstances come upon us, we have to realize that persons are willing to step into these roles. So it's easy for us to sit and say, oh, she doesn't have accounting background or she's not doing an accounting degree. But the reality is, sometimes we have to understand that it is the willingness to serve. And so we do laud the efforts of Ms. Burnett. She would have answered your question directly, but I wish for us at large to extend more compassion to our counselors. Not all the time will the situation fit as snugly as we wish it to. However, you know, we have to be careful of how we ask these questions as well. But of course, our students are entitled to ask these questions, and we appreciate you asking these questions out of genuine concern. And again, we laud the efforts of Ms. Burnett because she is currently acting in the capacity of both humanities rep and treasurer with no added benefits. Trust me, I myself, I said 2 positions, just so. But thank you, Ms. Burnett, and we look forward to you serving in both capacities for the rest of the tenure. So I am seeing a question. Okay, so anonymous attendee, we're gonna move over that question because it was addressed and we await Ms. Blackman's response. Dear Treasurer and Mr. President, why can't we, the students, get a breakdown on the welfare expenditures? We don't need names, but we just want a breakdown, as this is some of our guild fees being used. So this is directed to both the president and the treasurer. So I will invite either or both to address such inquiry. Thank you.
That is no problem. I will refer to my notes and get back to you in a minute.
Okay, in the interim, I will move on to the next question, but I will leave that question there so that we do not look over it. While the questions are really coming in, Nick, I think we...
Hey,
yes,
Delia,
Nick?
if I may, it's not necessarily a question, but it's something pertaining to what someone would have mentioned before. I don't know if you've received a clear response on it as it pertains to the entire issue of no confidence, but I'm imploring upon us to indeed be sure that once this meeting is concluded, the students have a clear understanding of where we're going in terms of the motion that would have been made, so that they know that these things are being looked into even after this meeting has concluded. So just to make that clear, so that students know this is indeed being seriously looked into. Yeah.
All right, thank you for that, Nick. Nick, boy, I hope we have our water handy and our Gatorade because we're gonna be here for a little while. So who holds the faculties accountable when they lag and take forever to provide the student committees with information regarding students, i.e. the dean's list? I really do wish this individual would have stated the faculty that they're from so that we could have directed to the specific faculty rep. But to the extent that it has to do with the governance of all the faculties, I invite the president to give a response.
Usually we have continuous Guild Council meetings where the faculties give us an update on how things are going, and we also provide different suggestions for faculty. I know the most recent one we would have had, I think that would have been in October, but then of course we would have had COVID in November, and then a lot of counselors are off-site, including myself, emergency travel in December, so we really haven't gotten a chance to play catch-up as it pertains to having those reports continuously coming from the faculties. But under usual circumstances, once the concerns are brought to other members of council, it is something that we take very seriously, and something concerns that we raise with this respective faculty rep. It has happened before. So it isn't always the case where we wait for those formal environments where we have our own meetings to address concerns of that nature. If you feel as if your faculty isn't being represented as the way you'd like it to be represented, then you can feel free to approach your faculty rep as well as any other member of council. It isn't something that we will brush over or shy away from discussing.
I think what I'll do, because I know there was definitely a hiccup. There has definitely been a hiccup within social sciences. So in terms of the question, members of my committee can tell you this. For many times I've been on calls with the dean and the necessary members of staff who are actually planning the Dean's List Award ceremony for SOSI. One of the issues that was noted to us by faculty would have been some hiccups regarding the overlap in terms of the new dean. However, as continuously mentioned, the Students Committee continues to, I guess if you want to say, continues to be in conversation, continues to be in call, continues to pressure the faculty, and probably one of the most annoying reps, probably, in terms of getting this Dean's List Award ceremony. So I can assure you that we would continue to do all that we have been doing, and if needed and where needed, we are not afraid to increase our efforts, because this Dean, as far as we are concerned as the Students Committee of the Faculty of Social Sciences, this Dean's List is going to come off before the end of our tenure.
Okay, thank you so much, Renako, for that answer. I see one that says here, Dear Treasurer and President, why can't the students get a breakdown of the welfare expenditures? We don't need names, but we would just like a breakdown. Was this answered, or can we go to that now? Just to ensure that the students get an answer to this, the treasurer.
Yes, please.
Okay, great.
As it relates to the welfare breakdown, about 10,000 was spent in tuition assistance, where we would have credited student accounts, 7,000 in rent assistance, and about 6,000 in terms of pantry and living expenses in terms of groceries and such.
Okay, thank you for that, Namyanka. Let's go through some of the answers. So give me a second so I can just make sure that there are no redundancies. Okay, I see one here. Since OSS could not verify the IDs of students for the motion of no confidence, but will that be the same case in the upcoming elections? How do we verify students' IDs then? I'll put a pin there, and that would indeed be answered. There was one other thing I saw earlier that I would like Mr. Augustine Joseph to respond to. I'm not sure if he recalls the question, but the response, he can go ahead at this time.
Thank you very much, Mr. PRO. I think the question was from Kate Thomas, and the person asked whether it is that you are supposed to resign if it is that you're going up in the upcoming elections. I want to put that fallacy aside, and very simply, I'll tell you why. If it is, and let's just take normal elections, because Guild, as it is normal elections. if it is that I'm running to become a parliamentary representative in the new election cycle, I do not need to resign my current parliamentary representative seat. All it is, I am an incumbent, and the incumbent gets to go up for another seat. I think the only debarring that there is to running for the guild is the GPA requirement, is whether it is that you served in the same post twice, or more so if it is that you are the returning officer at the time of the election. And it means, therefore, that you cannot be the returning officer who handles the electoral processes, and then you stand for elections. So the Constitution makes it pellucidly clear as to the certain provision that debars you from going up for elected officials. And being on the guild is not one. There's nothing more undemocratic than this notion that if it is that you are on the guild now, you can't run for election. So there's a lot of talk about constitutional infringements now, but I could tell Kay Thomas that this is not one. So let us just put that one to rest. Thank you very much, Mr. Piaro.
Okay. I will just slightly go back to the question posted by Samoya. I don't know if Mr. Augustine, you were able to respond, or the returning officer, as it pertains to the verification of the names for those who are currently campaigning in this year's election. And while you're getting that answer.
Oh, all right, the hour is there. But I guess any other questions, any constitutional implications that you could direct them to me.
Okay, so just for clarification, it wasn't a matter of the names could not be verified. OSS chose not to. I think that's important to note. And again, we do recognize that that is, an infringement on the Constitution, and there is conversation ongoing as it pertains to that matter. OSS chose to, along with the other administrative personnel, such as the Office of the Registrar, would have cleared the candidates for this year's guild elections. Specifically said IDs. Once you pay your fees, admin has a note of that. I'd like for us to appreciate that not everyone is in Barbados. Therefore, their IDs would not have the sticker saying that such is valid. So we have to go off of the basis of who would have paid their fees, and you are indeed a registered student. OSS and admin would have that information. So again, for the candidates, that was verified through OSS, and then again, verified by the Office of the Registrar. As it pertains to the no confidence motion, OSS chose not to verify those names.
Okay, thank you, Chanel. I see a question here from Justin John, which has stated, is welfare still being available to be distributed, and in terms of what offerings last year it would have been wrapped up at a certain point? And I know some students are curious, rent, tuition, and groceries. I know that the treasurer would have spoken about the breakdown of these things. I'll let her just reply to this to confirm that these things are still ongoing.
Yes, welfare is still going to be available up until about the end of March as it relates to our tuition assistance and rent assistance. However, our pantry should still be open to provide students with groceries and stuff like that.
Okay, thank you for that answer, Namyanka. I see here, is there a motion for face-to-face graduation 2022? We just really want to walk across the stage. I think, I'm not sure if Kyle would have mentioned pertaining to graduation earlier, but if you can touch on this, just to give some clarity there.
Yeah, that's no problem. As it pertains to the face-to-face graduation, we can appreciate the COVID-19 situation, but we can also appreciate that the school has seen the academic importance of the university important enough to reopen the university. So I believe they can see the importance that the graduation carries to students and return to face-to-face graduation. And the discussion is ongoing. The possibilities on the table currently are a phased return, whereas not everyone will be there around face-to-face. But the discussion is on the table, and we're trying to move towards having a full face-to-face graduation for those who'd like to be there where possible. So where students can, again, see the rewards after the long, hard journey of a university degree.
Okay, thank you, Kyle. I think the returning officer has a response as it pertains to I believe it's the motion for the, confidence, if I'm correct. You can go ahead at this time.
Okay, so I would have noted that there were 166 persons in the Zoom meeting at that time, and everyone's name would have been recorded. I do understand that not everyone has their government name as their Zoom name, but nonetheless, we would have to move forward with such, as Constitution does state that it has to be with 50% of those present. And I think we can appreciate that in this virtual setting, it's very easy for someone to send a link and say, hey, join quickly, let's do this thing. That is not just. So it's for that reason that all 166 persons would have been recorded. The link that I will put in the chat, you are to provide your UE student's email along with your first and last name, your ID number, and your faculty, and if you are for or against the no confidence motion. And again, your names will be cross-referenced to those who are in the Zoom platform.
Okay, thank you so much, Neil, for that answer. Someone was speaking. Okay, I see a question here. How much is paid in severance to the employees? Mr. President, were you able to give an answer to this question?
The amount paid to the employees is $223,272.78. It would have been paid directly from the guild reserves, not from the main guild budget. The distinction being that the guild reserves are co-funded by the university. So that is the very important distinction to make.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, so I will go ahead with the next question. Thank you, Nick. So I'm going to read Justin John's question. Is welfare still being available to be distributed? And in terms of what offerings?
Yeah. We answered that one just now.
Okay, we answered that. Sorry about it.
If you don't mind, I saw one here asking about the update as it pertains to the Law Society and the president. Yes, I believe this is to the returning officer who could give some clarity on this.
Did you ask that question again, Nick?
The update as it pertains to the law president, the faculty of law representative.
Okay, let me
on the election of the faculty of law representative. Yeah.
Let's pull it up my doc so I don't give wrong dates. So we would have spoken, I would have spoken, sorry, with the Law Society's returning officer, Mr. Arson, and we would have collaboratively put forward a proposal to the Office of Student Services as it pertains to the by-election. This proposal was put forward just so that they would have an idea of the dates that we would need, as well as for the platform used to be streamlined by IT services. So we have proposed a nomination period to be March 14th to 16th, campaigning period to be March 20th to 24th, debate night March 24th, and then of course election and result announcements on March 25th. So yes, indeed, there will be a by-election for the law representative, and I see that I am being asked to repeat the instructions. So I would have placed a link in the chat. I'll do that again. So when you hit the link, you are to log in with your email, this being your UE student email. It will ask for your first and last name, your faculty, your student ID number, and if you are for or against the motion. I would have also noted that At the time, there was 166 persons in the meeting, and those would have been recorded, and the entries for the doc will be cross-referenced with the persons that were recorded in the meeting.
Okay, thank you, Chanel. There's a question here. I don't think it was answered. Is it still there? Okay. It was there, but it basically asked what were the grounds for the original motion of no confidence against the president. So if you can provide some information on that, that'd be greatly appreciated. You heard me, Shanu?
No, I didn't hear anything.
There was a question there. It was asking about the reasoning behind the no confidence motion against the president. The original one, I believe, is what they're referring to. So can you provide an answer to that end?
You have to give me a moment to pull that up, so you can go ahead and ask other questions.
Okay, Nick, so there is a question from Miss Alexander. Was it responded to already?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was responded to.
And regarding the motion of no confidence, Miss Blackman would have given information regarding that. So I will just ask, just for clarity, so will our names and IDs still be collected for the motion?
Your names, yes. Your ID numbers, yes.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Blackman. Osaze asks, are the persons looking on YouTube not going to be able to take part in this vote because the 166 persons in the meeting does not include those on YouTube?
No, thank you for that, Osaze. Nick, could you go ahead and give me the number for those on, logged in to YouTube?
Okay, currently there are 17 persons watching on YouTube.
17, okay, noted, it's fine.
And the last question that I see is, why was a cell phone allowance given to councillors when the previous guild invested in cell phones, which would have been passed on to all upcoming guild councillors? So truthfully, I am going to go ahead and answer this question, seeing as it has been asked in different forms several times. The previous investment this year encountered significant challenges. There were emails, messages from the telephone company, the telephone provider, and it was deemed too expensive to continue. It was bringing councillors into a lot of confusion, a lot of contention as to who was responsible for paying the bill because it was running over from previous years, etc. The phone allowance is significantly less than what was allocated under the phone investment initiative. And so with all of that in mind, it was thought best to leave that alone and continue with a different initiative. Practically, these things, I'm trying my best to answer diplomatically, not to avoid the question, but just because a lot of things that are said can be taken in different forms and taken out of context, and I wish that my words will not be taken out of context. But like the VP would have said, the VP can actually speak to this. He would have been a victim of what came out of that previous venture, and so we thought it best for all the parties involved that we leave that initiative alone. So that is the sole reason, because it was more efficient to handle the phone allowance than to handle the previous phone investment that was done by the other guild. So there's no another question. Miss Blackman, please note that the link for the no confidence motion has been shared on Twitter. How will this affect the vote?
Once again, I would have made note of those 166 persons who were in the Zoom at the time. They're all recorded, of course, due to Mr. Osaze's note of the YouTube, I would have added 17 more possible persons. So 17 plus 166, those are the numbers that I would expect. Of course, those will be cross-referenced with the persons that I would have recorded that were here in the Zoom.
Thank you very much, Miss Blackman. And I do think Blackbirds, just like it is important for us to advocate for you, we have to advocate practically as well. We have to think about how this would translate if we were in a physical format. And if we were in a physical format and a motion of no confidence was called in a physical format, and there were 200 persons in Roy Marshall, we could not have messaged our friends who were on campus to come and suddenly vote. So we have to try as best as possible to consider that at the end of the day, our RO is human. She tried her best to record the number of persons in the Zoom. And thank you very much for that information, Osaze, about the participants on YouTube. However, for all attempts to be made to ensure that this continues as constitutionally as possible, please refrain from sharing outside of the meeting, because we want to ensure that whoever votes are the participants who were in the Zoom meeting at the time when the vote was called. So please be considerate. We're trying to uphold the Constitution at all ends. It's like trying to hold that tent together when a storm is coming, because we have to be able to adapt quickly. So please refrain from sharing the link outside of the Zoom meeting at this time. What if persons are sharing devices? Again, that is very similar to if we were in a face-to-face setting. If I was in a face-to-face setting and I was recording on perhaps my Instagram account, we would not count the 6 followers who are on my Instagram account or so forth. We have to go with what we can. It is a very volatile setting, quickly changing. We have to adapt. So we are trying to avoid any contention right now and going ahead with the 166 Mr. Returning Officer, you said?
That's inclusive of YouTube as well?
Well, 166 plus the 17, so
183.
Okay.
So 183, and the returning officer has the names of said participants as well. So we will go ahead with that.
Okay, Adelia, given there are no more questions, I'm not sure how many more will come through, but things that could have been missed through the Q&A session, welfare is still ongoing, in case any persons would have missed that. I know that that's been something that persons have been asking about welfare. So we know that that is still ongoing, just to let students know that that is still ongoing, because some persons were contacting me about that to this week. So I'm just reiterating that that is still ongoing. I see some more questions.
I just remember that I was to get back to someone as it pertains to the reasons for the first motion.
Yes, the reasons, the response for the reasons for the first motion of no confidence. Go right ahead.
Okay. So it was broken down into about 4 categories. First being lack of transparency. The primary petitioner will have stated that on several occasions, important matters of the guild would not have been effectively or timely communicated to the student body. They would have mentioned the leave of absence of the then treasurer at the time, Ms. Nikisha Pinard. They would have also made notice of the financial report not being given at the first general meeting. There was also the note of the allegation surrounding the Frank Warrell Hall chairman. They would have also made note of the resignation of past returning officer, Miss Jamie Young. And then there was again the use of funds. They would have noted vehicle maintenance. They would have noted the retreat cost. And then again, there was the poor management of the guild, the late hosting of the general meeting was also cited, as well as the resignation of 3 council members, those being Mr. Peter Cook, Ms. Nakisha Pinard, and Miss Jamie Young. The absence of by-elections for such, where appropriate. Decision of no way being made forward for the re-election of a law faculty rep. And yes, that is it.
Okay, thank you, Shanil. Adela, I see one last question here. It says, so what will happen if there are enough votes? Will the VP become the acting president?
Very quickly, Nikhil, what's the question again?
In the event, so what will happen if there are enough votes? Will the VP become the next president?
So let me put a point of clarification here. Enough votes does not constitute a removal. Let's start off there. 1, there must be enough votes. 2, the motion must pass. And then the Constitution of the Guild says that should a vacancy exist in the office of the president after December 31st, the council will then determine. And in some instances, it also says that the vice president will be the acting president. But as I said, and I want to say it again, and I want to make it lucidly clear, that 1, a vote does not constitute removal. Secondly, the vote or the motion must pass in favor of whatever it is that the person is proposing. And then the vacancy article of the Constitution steps in.
If I may, Madam and Mr. Chair, interject here. At this time, I would like the Guild President to respond to the reasons outlined. And just for a point, please note that earlier I would have noted that my office is investigating each reason, and the results of such will be made public to the student body. Mr. Hoda-Leach.
Thank you very much, Ms. Blackman. As it pertains, if my memory serves correctly, because I can't seem to find the petition that was sent to me, but if my memory serves correctly, one of the things that were spoken to in the petition would have been the resignations, and it spoke to an indicator of my inability to lead the Guild Council. And to my recollection, the law representative, when he resigned, he cited personal reasons for his resignation. He didn't cite anything to do with my ability to lead the council. He cited personal reasons, specifically a death, if I remember correctly. Along with that, Ms. Pinard would have resigned as well. And in her resignation, I believe she would have cited concerns surrounding her reputation and the ongoing situation which occurred with the funds that were unaccounted for at some time during the tenure. Again, at no point was my leadership cited in that resignation either. Ms. Young's resignation as well, she resigned, and I believe should have cited general support from the council in her resignation. I know there was some ambiguity regarding what exactly that meant, but again, in her resignation, she did not cite my inability to lead either. On the topics of the resignations, I personally don't believe that the resignations were indicative of my ability or lack thereof to lead this council. And from the reasoning that the individuals gave, I like to think, well, from what they gave us, they don't think so either. Now, on the topic of Mr. Augustine Joseph, this is one that particularly baffles me. And I'm going to tell you why it particularly baffles me. There's a constitution where it clearly, but let me not say clearly, which to some extent outlines the Mr. Augustine and the circumstances surrounding him being brought up to the disciplinary committee and the constitutional committee. And it is very clear that that process is conducted independent of the office of the president and quite frankly, independent of any other office of the guild. So the circumstances surrounding Mr. Augustine's difficult time during the tenure have nothing to do with me, quite frankly, because it is clearly stipulated on the purview of the constitutional chair, and the constitutional chair handled it as such. Further to that, the allegations, to my knowledge, the circumstances were withdrawn from the same constitutional committee that Mr. Cook was leading. So again, I can't begin to fathom how that is directly connected to me or my ability to lead. The constitutional chair, in his powers, took on the situation, attempted to make a determination. The whole situation was thrown out. That is not a reflection of the guilt of the guild council or myself. That the constitutional chair did what he could given the circumstances. I mean, even before a final determination could have been made, the whole situation was thrown out by the accusers. So I don't know how that is a reflection of the guild or my ability to lead said guild. But again, we then come down to the I believe one of the other things that would have been mentioned would have been the finances. Now, acceptably, there were some concerns around the financial report, which the guild council would have been discussed after the financial report was given, as it pertains to some ambiguities and vague wording that was used surrounding the financial report, and it left a lot of questions. Understandably, students were concerned and students felt as if certain things were being hidden. That was a discussion that was held on the guild council, as well as with the treasurer, which I involved myself in to ensure we didn't find ourselves in that situation again. But to indicate that that had a reflection of my ability to lead, I think is a bit disingenuous and a disservice, because that particular report, that particular portfolio would have been prepared by the individuals who were supposed to be prepared, whether it be the office manager and the treasurer and the office manager, whoever should have been involved in the process was involved in the process, and it was presented. Further to that, I know there was being something that spoke to the misappropriation of funds. I'm not going to speak much on that because that was a purely financial decision, which was more feasible than the arrangement that we had at the time. Concerning the arrangement, not only put us in poor financial standing, but it put us in poor social standing as well, because the arrangement that we had prior put us in a situation where we had some councillors being forgotten at certain spots because of the arrangement we had with the van. So that decision was one that was made, again, purely financial. So on the topic of these things that are supposed to indicate my poor leadership of the guild council, I wholeheartedly disagree. I wholeheartedly disagree. From the resignations to Mr. Augustine to the finances, and the thing is with finances, right? I find so interesting as it pertains to the guild. We always throw around these allegations of stealing and misappropriation of funds. I do not run the guild finances by myself. No president has ever run the guild finances by his or herself. There's a treasury and there's an office manager. All of these individuals are involved in the financial processes of the guild. So to imply that the president has somehow involved himself in some financial discrepancy, it would take the president, the treasurer, the vice president, and the office manager all to be involved. And that's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I wholeheartedly disagree with the notion that the reasonings indicating the petition are a clear indicator of my poor ability to lead the Guild Council.
So my mic was on. Okay, thank you, Kyle, for your response to these questions. Just making sure that we didn't miss anything. Okay, I see a question here that says, how is the returning officer? The returning officer, and she's on another committee. I'm not sure if the returning officer wants to respond to this herself, but the returning officer was on the Public Relations Committee of the Guild, serving as a Deputy Public Relations Officer. Now, at the time of the appointment, I would have informed my committee, and I would inform Ms. Blackman that she'll be no longer a part of the Public Relations Committee, and my committee was informed of such even before Ms. Blackman was then appointed as the returning officer. So I can, guarantee that Ms. Blackman is not on any other Guild committee, as the other committee she was a part of would have been that of mine and the events committee, and she would have resigned from both of those positions prior to the appointment. Okay, I see a question here that's asking, will there be an audit? I think this is in response, Kyle, to what you were speaking about before.
As it pertains to an audit is something easily that can be arranged. I do know the office manager does internal audits, and she also provides the bursar for financial report, I believe on a quarterly period, but an audit is something that can be arranged.
Okay, thank you. Given my response, I presume there's a question here. Can Mr. Augustine Joseph expound a bit to this about the constitutionality of the appointment of Ms. Blackman?
Can you repeat the question?
In relation, sorry, it's basically asking for comments on the constitutionality of the appointment of Ms. Blackman to the post of returning officer.
The appointment, I'm trying to recall very quickly here. And this is strictly advisory, as all of my opinions tonight have been, because again, let me just make it clear, I'm not the constitutional chairperson of the Guild, and therefore I'm not giving the legal advice on behalf of the Guild, at least for you to be taken wholesomely. But in relation to that, my view is that it was constitutional. It was constitutional because the Guild councillors voted Ms. Blackman in. Where I think it is that people have a contention with was the advertisement of the particular post. And to that extent, because it was not advertised, I believe that people have a particular issue with it, which is understandable, considering that for good governance purposes, one needs to possibly make these positions available so that every student can have an equal and fair and share opportunity to be able to put themselves up for the particular position. However, that route was not particularly taken by the Guild Council. And to that extent, Ms. Blackman is voted in, and it was constitutional. I think maybe if it is within the broader scheme of good governance and democratic principles, I don't know that would be. I just want to, before I go on, clarify some comments I saw earlier, really. Some who said that the interpretation that I previously gave was wrong. Upon a further conversation with them, because I take it as my duty to do so, the element that I was missing, which I did not include as part of the chronological order of what happens if it is that the motion passes, is that the person is to resign. I mean, I took it as a given, knowing that if it is that it's passed, that the person must resign. However, I just want to make it clear again that the resignation is part of the entire proceedings in relation to the motion of no confidence. But when it is that somebody resigns, then a vacancy exists within the office. And when a vacancy exists in any guild counsel's office, you look to the vacancies section, which is section 43 of the Constitution. And I know that I saw the link for the Constitution was in it, and I want you to look at section 43, which speaks to vacancies, and you glean for yourself what it means.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Augustine Joseph. Trying to keep up with what's happening. Adele, you can let me know if I missed anything.
Okay, Nick, I am not seeing where we missed any. I think we have responded to the question as to the reason for the current no confidence motion, yes?
Yes, we did
You can,
respond.
okay, so we did, so I will just remove those questions. When will the voting polls close, Miss Blackman?
For the no confidence tonight,
Yes.
as customary in any motion, I'd first, if
Is there a specific time?
As at the ending of this meeting, as any confidence ends with the meeting.
Okay, so it will end at the when the meeting ends.
Yeah.
Thank you, Miss Blackman.
Would Mr. Davis like to speak?
Okay, so we need to, so I'm not sure who is the Zoom admin. Nick, would you be able to assist with that to allow Mr. Davis the opportunity to speak?
Okay, let me locate it in the chat. Okay, hold on a second. Okay. Yes, should be able, I believe.
Okay, Mr. Davis, you can just indicate if you are currently able to speak. You can indicate either in the Q&A section or in the chat.
Hello, good night.
Okay, great. You can go ahead.
Yeah, can everybody hear me?
Loud and clear.
Yes, good night. Good night to everyone. Good night, ladies and gentlemen. I just want to firstly clarify a few things. In respect to my comment about this current motion being independent of the recall petition, I want students to understand perfectly clear that the recall petition has been dismissed, and so that is no longer it's no longer active. It's now void because it has been dismissed by the arrow. As a result, in order to satisfy what we want in terms of a removal of the president based on his inability to so properly lead the guild, we needed to file a fresh motion, which is what we did this evening. And so that the interpretation should not be what falls under the recall, the petition recall provisions, but under the motion of no confidence provisions. With that being said, I would just like to say that unfortunately for us as current students of the guild, we have been suffering from a lack of leadership from the guild president. And I think the petition that was circulated that has now been dismissed, I want to keep making it very clear, spells out in very explicit terms some, not all, but some of the grievances that the students have faced. And I think that covers it immensely. Now, 130 students, about thereabouts, I think it was 129, 130, would have provided names and ID numbers to the petition where we spelled out our grievances. And I think it is very unfortunate that that petition was dismissed in the circumstances which it was. But I can say that I really have nothing much to say after what the guild president just said, because he made it very clear as to why the vote will go in the way I presume it will, and in that the motion of no confidence will be carried. And so in order to not cloud it any further, I think students have been around. I think students have felt what I have felt and what others have felt, particularly those 130 who would have signed the petition. I know, unfortunately, given our limited time, many other students were unable to sign the petition. But given that the president has already spoken in very clear terms, and the students will make of that what they will based on what he said. But I think I have nothing further to say except to say that on an interpretation basis, the petition was dismissed by the RO, and now we are here seeking further redress by way of a no confidence motion. And I must say that I am not doing anything that hasn't been attempted to have been done in the past, because the very first general meeting last semester, there was an attempt to do it. There were some technicalities that didn't go through. And then again, the chief petitioner, Ms. Pascal, she tried to move a motion at the meeting that was held to facilitate the financial report. And she also was dismissed. And not only was she dismissed, but she was advised by the RO to provide a petition with said names. And even in so doing, the petition was still dismissed on grounds that were canvassed earlier. But I just want to say that I think the president has spoken already, and I don't want to cloud the situation anymore. I think we can move forward now. The form has already been sent, and the students will do what they feel needs to be done in these circumstances. Thank you so much for your time, and everyone have a great night.
Thank you so much, Mr. Davis, for coming on and sharing with us. Still looking here. I'm not sure that there have been any new questions that haven't been answered throughout the meeting.
I will have to agree with you, Nick. Most of the questions were answered already. And so with that being said, I do think that Ms. Blackman, you can advise me as to if there's anything else that needs to be done this evening, or if we may proceed and wrap up the meeting. And you can also indicate to the student body how they will go forward and what form will be used to inform them of the update regarding the vote, the motion which was moved this evening.
Adela will move forward, and we'll do that now. I'll share my screen just as a measure of transparency, and they will be updated immediately. So I will go ahead and share my screen. Okay, so as you can see, I am now officially closing the poll. We would have received 75 responses from the 183. I would have went ahead and rounded that up to 184, just on the merit of us needing to have half of those persons present. Half of 184 is 92. And we would have received 60 votes for yes and 15 for no. We would have not had half of the participants in agreement with the motion, and it has obviously then is now subsequently dismissed.
Okay, thank you, Shanil, for sharing that with us. And as you would have stated, given that that was the last thing that needed to be addressed, I can go ahead and hand over to Mr. Holder-Leach to give us our closing remarks.
Thank you very much, Mr. Willoughby. I thank you for the fantastic job moderating the session tonight. You and Ms. Nemhard, fantastic moderators. You really kept the train going as it pertains to the general meeting tonight. I want to thank the students for coming out tonight and find the time to attend the session. I know it's a busy time in semester, especially with midterms on hand. And I want to thank the members of council for being present as well. And I do hope you all enjoy the remainder of your night, and I wish you the best in your upcoming assessments.